What up, Flip?
What's good in the hood, man?
Oh, chilling, bro, chilling. I was at work up here listening to Nabal and David.
Nayball,
Yeah, David sent him some men because Nabal had some shepherds in Carmel, and David was like, he sent some men to Nabal. Like, hey man, we've been looking out for your shepherds. We didn't we didn't hurt none of them, and we didn't take none of the sheep or nothing. Look out for us. You're a wealthy man. And Nabal was like, man, every time somebody's supposed to do me, like pretty much every time somebody do good to me, am I supposed to give them my bread and my meat? You know what I'm saying? He kind of dealt harshly with him.
Hey, didn't David steal his wife or something?
Well, he was finna, he when his servants went back to tell him what Nabal said, he was like, man, y'all strap up, man. We finna go get this clown.
Yeah.
and and uh and somebody had gave word back to Abigail that, hey man, it's about to go down. He finna come take everybody out.
Yeah.
And so she loaded up with all the goodies. Pretty much what, all he was asking for in the beginning from Nabal, but she loaded up with goodies and she went and met him. And she gave him that wisdom, right? And
Yeah.
so he didn't uh take him out. But just so happens that the Lord took him out in like 10 days or whatever. But I was just reading it. It was funny.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to it, so I'm not able to get off into the Hebrew and to the numbers because all them numbers are significant. She took so many cakes, 200 fig cakes,
Oh yeah.
and all kind of other stuff, raisins and stuff, dried raisins. So
Well, that's cool, man.
yeah, David was like, "Oh, you ain't got nothing for us." He extorting them. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I feel like. How you gonna extort that man?
David the gangster,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, you ain't got nothing for us? Well, check this out. Here we come. He told his men. He said, "Y'all gird up y'all swords, man. We finna go take this clown out." I
Hey,
thought that was
man.
funny.
Yeah, me and the warden, we reading Ezekiel. It's been a hot minute since I read Ezekiel, like, just like reading it. Just going over the story.
Uh huh.
Yeah. It's crazy how he mentioned what was it, the cow dung and the human
Uh huh.
feces.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had to burn it up. You chop
Mm-hmm.
up the hair, put it in the air.
That's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah, man. I'm like, what the heck? It's been a while
S-
since I read this story, man.
Some rituals, boy. Some African voodoo. You hear me?
I was about to say that.
Some
Oh man.
hoodoo.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. What y'all talk about the past week, man? I've been gone.
Yeah, I didn't tune in yesterday, but from what I heard, the finger of God. But I caught like the last end of it. I really didn't get to catch none of the lesson hardly. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's a movie though. The Finger of God.
yeah, you
What's
were
his name?
saying that. I want to
Todd
check that
White.
out.
Yeah, Todd White. I don't know if you know Todd White, but he's like a dude with dreads, man. Goes out ministering, praying for people. People get healed and all that. It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I need to check that out.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been in. No, I've been stuck in Samuel. I started from the beginning to Hannah. It's crazy when you read it slow and just take your time. Like sometimes I'll be stuck in one chapter for like 2 or 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Just going over the Hebrew and like in the past I would read something and you know how sometimes you just get lost in like I don't know. It seemed like it's so much going on. Like you get lost and you don't really understand the storyline. Say like you'll start your mind start drifting off thinking about something, and while you're reading, you'll forget. You know what I'm saying? You won't really grasp it. So I stopped read like keep instead of keep going, I would go back
Yeah.
and make sure I fully understand every verse, what's going on from verse to verse, and it's kind of easy to remember like what's going on. Like I can revert back to like say chapter 10, and where
Yeah.
Samuel gets pretty much baptized by the Spirit and prophesied. You remember better where parts of the story is located,
Oh
and
yeah.
so that's what I've been
Yeah,
focused on.
definitely.
Cause sometimes
Yeah, me too, man.
those stories, it'll be a lot of information, and you like my mind will drift off, and you know what I'm saying, I'll forget like what's going on or something. So
Yeah. Yeah, I finally gave in because the warden, she's all like, "Oh, let's just read the stories. You're always studying." I'm like, man, I recall Tross saying that on the live too. I was like, okay, you know what? I gotta get familiar with the stories anyway because I've read the Bible like once, and that was when I was in prison. So yeah, I might as well refresh my mind.
oh yeah, you go through that thing now, you're gonna be like, wow, I didn't catch this the first time. It's
Yep.
crazy how much
Amen.
uh how much revelation you get, the second and third time around.
It's like peeling an onion, man. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
definitely.
Yeah. Revelation after revelation. Yeah, you
Ogres are
mentioned
like
you was on
onions.
Samuel for what, a few days? Bruh, I was in like the first verse of the Bible for like 2 to 3 months, man. It was
Oh yeah.
ridiculous. I was like, I gotta move forward.
Oh yeah. What up,
Yeah.
man? What's going on, Trot?
What is going on?
What
I
up,
heard
man?
onion, so I was like, ogres are like onions.
Oh yeah? You should try onions with eggs. It's bomb.
Mmm.
Bro, onions with
Cowboys,
Delicious.
everything.
every other team. Cowboys going to the Super Bowl. What are you talking about? Y'all tripping,
Ooh.
I
bro?
don't
They're
know,
like
man.
they're like 7-3 right now, bro. They go into the playoffs of faux shoozy.
Yeah, yeah. You can give them that.
Yeah, everybody better give them that because that's gonna happen. Everybody, I don't care who they play. I don't care if they play all the high
Hey,
school teams.
you
What?
remember there was one year where people had great records and they wasn't making the playoffs because everybody was winning. You know what I mean?
What? Do what now? Say
I
again.
said it was one year where you had some great records, like you know what I'm saying.
You talking about Tony Romo was there?
And no, I ain't talking about the Cowboys specifically. I'm talking about like just the NFL. It was a year where like
Oh,
some good teams, like they had good records, but they still wasn't making the playoffs because everybody in their division was killing it. You know what I mean?
dang. Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, if you give me a year, I could probably go back and.
Yeah, I'm talking about sometimes like an 8-8 team might make the wild card or something. Nah,
Oh yeah.
it wasn't happening. It
Yeah.
wasn't happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, talking about that, I remember. I don't remember if it was with Romo or what. I, I don't remember what, but I know they lost like 8 or 10 games. They still went to the playoffs.
Yeah,
It was crazy. Like they
yeah,
still went to the playoffs, bro. They were horrible, and it's because the other
yeah,
teams were horrible. Everybody's playing bad.
yeah. No, no matter what, you're gonna have a division leader,
Yeah.
and you know, that may get you the wild card.
Yeah, Jordan, man, you need to quit hating on Dak, bro. You need to quit doing that. Yeah, hey, you're hating your brother for not.
Hey, now
Dak's
try
not MVP.
before you came in, we was talking about what we were reading, and I told him I know you went over it already, Nabal and Abigail, but I read the story for myself, and I was thinking like, man, David was on one. He looked out for Nabal's shepherds and his sheep or whatnot while they were in Carmel. So he decided, I'm gonna send some men to go collect, pretty much.
Yep.
And they boss
Yep.
was like, man, is this something you expect me to do this every time this happens? He like, man, nah. You know what I mean?
No, he said, who is David?
Right, right. So he was like, every time my servants veer off and somebody helps them, am I supposed to give them my meat? You know what I'm saying? Basically.
Yeah. He said, who is David? I will
So,
not give him anything. He said, I ain't
right.
giving him nothing.
David's men came back and gave word. David was like, man, load up, man. We finna go get this guy.
Yeah. So you know what? And they didn't have to say it, but they made it pretty clear. Look, guys, this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna kill him and everybody here. We're just gonna take over this whole property. How about that?
Exactly.
Shoot.
Try.
Hey.
So that video I sent you, right,
Yeah.
of the soldier,
Yeah.
that stuff right there just burns me though, bro. Because I think I don't even understand what you were saying about his rank. Like, what is he? A E what? I don't know. I don't know you guys' rank.
He's an E4. Bro, you've been in the military 4 years. Watch this. Not only was this dude in the Army, he was an infantryman. Okay? Now, I've tried to tell y'all there's two armies, and the only people that understand this are the people that actually are infantrymen, okay? So this dude is on the other side of the Army. He's an infantryman, and he's got a CIB, which means this dude's seen combat. And he's a specialist. So you may not know, so I'm telling you something's wrong.
That's pretty normal in the Marine Corps, though. 4 years E4 is pretty normal. You guys, I think you guys get E4 all the way through. You don't start like going through boards and stuff like that till you get to E5, right?
No, it's not that. It's just that the Marine Corps is smaller. There's a whole lot more people. So in the Army we have 10 times as many more people. Okay, and so there's people getting out, retiring, dying. You know, the rank is always there to go to the board to get promoted because more people are getting out. See, in the Marine Corps, you only have so many people that are getting out, so many people that are retiring
and stuff, bro. Yeah.
Right. So with that being said, there's more opportunity to get promoted in the Army. That's why I tell people, you know, what do you want your job to be? So, like, let's say somebody, and this is relevant to what we're discussing for anyone that knows anyone, their family wants to join or whatever, but if they don't want to be an infantryman, right? Let's say they want to do any other job but that. So they want to cook or drive trucks. I'm like, it'd be better to join the Army because you're going to get promoted faster. You're going to make more money. So it makes no sense. It makes no sense to tell people, well, I'm a Marine. And you're like, oh, yeah? What'd you do? Well, I was a cook. Well, you could have done that in the Army. What are you talking about? And now you get promoted faster. You make more money. So your ego is what's making you want to be in the Marine Corps because what are you getting out of it? To tell people if you were an infantryman, then I'll agree with you that you went to go join a Marine infantryman. I get that. But if you're going to get promoted faster and make more money in the Army, it just makes no sense. But anyway, so again, the Marine Corps, when it comes to rank, it's all based on personnel. And so the Army, you have more opportunity, not because they promote easier. No, because they have more people getting out.
Hold on, you guys do promote like E4 in the Marine Corps. You have to like make a cutting score for that. Like it's not time and grade, time and service. I think the Army does time and grade, time and service all the way through E4. Then E5 is when you got to have a cutting score.
Are you asking how they get promoted? Is that what you're asking?
No, I know that for a fact. Like you guys do time and grade, time and service all the way through E4.
No, time and grade and time and service does not guarantee a promotion. No. I don't know who told you
unless you're messing up or you're a complete dirtbag, you're gonna get E4 in a specific amount of time.
It depends what your job is. In the infantryman, no. As an infantryman, no, sir. No.
All right, I'll look it up for you.
You're talking about pogues, bro. That's what you're talking about. No, here we go again. Here we go again, bro. Here we go. Here we go again. I'm the one that was an infantryman. You're going to tell me, bro.
I'm not going to even get into that discussion because I already know what I know. But
well, it don't matter. I'm going to tell you. How about this? I'll just tell you by experience. How about that? As an infantryman, let me just tell you by experience, and you can tell me what Google says later. Look, as an infantryman, if your time in service and time of grade, if all that lines up, you will be talked to about your next promotion. Okay? Talked to.
See, look.
You met the first criteria to getting promoted, okay? After that, your team leader is going to be asked, hey, what's up with so-and-so? Dude, if your team leader says, no, there ain't no way, you ain't getting promoted. Time and grade is not going to override what the team leader says, dude. So I don't know what you're told or what. No, not going to happen. Nope. You're talking about regular Army, bro. You're talking about them.
Well,
So now you heard.
I hate to break it to you, bro, but even in the regular Army, from people that I know that were in the regular Army, it's the same process, bro. If you're a cook and you're a sorry cook, and your team leader says no, he doesn't deserve to get promoted to E4, he won't get promoted to E4, bro. That is not just relevant.
Oh, so that does nothing to prove my point that your time and grade is not what promotes you.
But that's my whole point.
So you just proved my point. All right. So time and grade. The whole point is time and grade does not guarantee promotion.
You don't pick up E4 with time and grade.
What does it matter? I don't understand the point here. What does it matter? I don't get it.
I told you I didn't want to talk about it. I told you that already. I don't want to talk about that.
But I'm missing the point. What's the whole point of this?
My conversation was the poor Army guy, the infantry guy. Like that shit, if I guarantee you he was probably told to leave his gear there, and for the Army to charge him or the government in general to charge him for that, it's bogus, bro. 100% bogus. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care if he's a dirtbag infantry guy. Doesn't matter, bro. If you're told to leave your gear there because you can't take it with you and then you get charged for it later, that's BS, bro. And
it is bogus. And I'll say this though, it's nothing new. Okay, is what I'm telling you. See, he's making this video and he's making it sound like this is a new thing. Bro, there's people that get charged for stuff all the time. And so
I agree.
Yeah, so sure. I mean, and I don't know the whole story. That may be true. Maybe he was told to leave it. I don't know. It could be true. But I know this, anytime somebody is anytime that anybody is told, hey, it's time to go up to the window, right? Time to turn your gear on. Anytime someone's told to turn their gear on, bro, they come back mad. Like it's like 90% chance it's going to happen. So, it just wasn't new. It wasn't nothing new for me to hear somebody say, well, I'm mad because they're making me pay for this stuff. And, but the whole Afghanistan thing, like I think most people that saw what took place, that kind of could play a role. And some of these soldiers paying for gear that they were told to leave there. If that part is true, you'll hear more of it. So if he's getting out, there's going to be more getting out in 2024. So it's probably going to, if that's true, the conversation will be thicker. The conversation will be thicker.
Oh yeah.
Is it expensive or is it just the principle?
Oh yeah, it's expensive, bro. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, usually the stuff that they want money for is probably going to cost an easy $200. That's like the cheapest thing. It's the cheapest thing. $200.
You lost your Kevlar, bro. That's a couple $100 right there, bro.
Yeah.
That alone is a couple $100, and But the thing about it is, dude, they left like millions of dollars worth of equipment in the Middle East. Then you want to charge this guy? Or our soldiers in general, Marine soldiers, I don't care who it is, bro. It's just like you're going to charge our guys, hey, man, they lost the Kevlar. They were over there in Afghanistan or whatever. You're going to charge this guy $200 for that, bro? That's bogus, bro. You guys just left millions of dollars of equipment just sitting there
that's
for
weak.
ISIS to take over. That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, did you hear what he said when he said, I don't know I remember how he worded it, but he was like, he made it sound like some people didn't leave it. Did you catch that, or did I hear it wrong?
I'm gonna listen to it again. I'm gonna listen. I didn't catch that. I thought he said like a lot of people.
Okay. I don't know if he said that people took it, but he made it sound like people were making comments like, I'm not leaving that. That's expensive. Like saying,
he did say that.
I already know if I don't turn this in, I'm gonna have to pay for it. I'm not leaving that. And so maybe there were some that didn't. They just took it anyway. Maybe, I don't know.
No, I think he said that, but it was like telling them like, why would we leave this? And they're like, well, we're telling you to leave it anyways, and they just had to leave it or whatever. And then knowing good and well that this could come back. See, I would have been like, bro, write me a piece of paper or something. Where's the colonel? You can give me a chit.
Write me a piece of paper, bro.
You better put it on a chit, bro. Something. I'm not paying $1,000 worth of equipment you told me to leave, bro. I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't have paid. I'm not gonna pay for it, bro.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, bro. That was probably ESAPI plates, a Mitch helmet. It was probably the main gear because he's an infantryman. So He gonna have ESAPI plates, a Mitch helmet. They probably said leave the Mitch helmet here, leave the ESAPI plates, take your regular plates, wear them, wear your regular K-pot, and leave something else. I don't know, but those two things alone would have been $1,000,
I mean, you
if
want me to
not
leave my rifle
1,500.
too?
I wonder. I wonder. Hey, I wonder.
That'd be
I
crazy.
wonder.
I remember when
Yeah,
I
I
was
know that is.
I don't know how it is in the Army, but like at boot camp in the Marine Corps, right? Like you get issued your rifle, right? The whole time you're in boot camp, it's day one you get issued a rifle, an actual, you know, an actual serviceable rifle, bro. And it would
Yeah, in the
always be a
army, as an infantryman in the army, you get issued a 100% serviceable rifle. Yes.
okay, yeah. So like
Yes.
that's how it is in boot camp in the Marine Corps, and it would always, I mean, without fail, bro. Like when I was permanent personnel there, without fail, it'd be like a Friday afternoon. You're about to get off, you're about to go home, and some stupid recruit would lose their freaking rifle, bro, and the whole base has to shut down.
Yeah.
No in
Yeah.
or out until that rifle is found. Oh my,
Yeah.
bro, it
Yeah.
was annoying, bro.
Yeah. Well, what I remember is we got issued night vision in basic. So we had our rifle, we had our gas mask, and night vision, and someone lost their night vision. Bro, it took literally 15 hours, I think, or something, until that thing was found.
Oh yeah. They shut down the entire base. I'm like, you've got to be
Yeah.
kidding. It don't matter if you're a general, you ain't leaving that mug. Well, the general
No, ain't
probably
nobody
leave,
leaving.
but you probably be the only
Yeah.
one leaving.
Hold on, y'all give me a second. I'll be right back.
All right, guys, we're starting off in Exodus 31:18 today, just so y'all know, so y'all can start getting y'all Bibles ready.
Ready.
Dre, what you been reading, bro?
You know what? I've been in Proverbs, bro. I went back to my Proverbs and I was texting back and forth with Trot on Proverbs 20, 20, 27, 28, 29, 30. You know, we was kind of going through that. So I'm trying to go back into my Proverbs and I'm trying to read my Psalms, bro. I want to go through both of them in 1 month. So if you do 5 Psalms in one day and one chapter of, or 5 chapters of Psalms in a day and one chapter of Proverbs, you get through them in 1 month.
Bro, it's gonna take 5 days to get through 119.
Well, 119 is a whole day by itself. So
Right.
you do that one on day 31. Yeah.
What y'all talking about?
Just talking about what we reading right now, what we in.
Oh. Oh, man, hold on.
What you in, Trot?
Man, hold on. I'll be right back again.
Fell off the stool again.
I'm in the book Trot doesn't discuss.
Yeah, I don't read that one
I
myself.
don't either. I'm not reading that until I get pretty much every Old Testament story
Yep. I'm like many right now, bro.
rooted.
I'm not really fooling with it until I can understand until I can get the legend down right. You know, when you get the legend
Right.
down, you know, you got a map, you got a legend, and it kind of indicates this, this, and this. Until I
Right.
get my legend on point, I'm not ever reading that book again because it doesn't make sense to me, to be honest.
I'm still working on the numbers. That's what I've really been focusing on is the numbers, seeing how certain numbers are used in certain areas. Because the story kind of reveals what the numbers indicate. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Like in
100%.
like the story will have some information. Like let's say Nabal, I'm reading that right now. Information about his name. His wife bluntly comes out and said, you know, his name, he is as his name says. He's folly. And so, but I
Yeah.
noticed the story, like when they'll be going through a place, like when we was talking about Saul going through Shalisha and Ephraim, those names of those places, like later on in the story, they came up, like in some of it, you know, it was revealed, like he received 3 parts, or 3 men approached him, he received double. So some of the names, I noticed the names kind of revealed themselves in the story. But yeah, I've been focusing on numbers. I want to understand what all the numbers mean.
I know that's
Y'all hear me?
All right, y'all ready to hop in this or
Yeah.
what?
Oh yeah. Answer,
Whoa.
what you reading right now, Trot? Like on your personal time.
What am I reading right now?
Yeah. What book you in?
Well, I'm in a couple. Um, I'm in a couple of books. I'm in Leviticus and Big John, New Testament.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yep. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Where we at? Dre said Exodus 31:19. I think he said
31.
31:18.
18.
Yeah. Yeah, 31:18. Yeah. Tara, if you want to go ahead and read 31:18, go right on ahead.
And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of God.
All right. So the Bible here tells us that the finger of God wrote the tables of stone, right? The 10 commandments, that God's finger wrote them. So Exodus 31:18 tells us that God's finger wrote the 10 commandments. Is Jesus God?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Exodus 31:18 tells us that Jesus wrote the 10 commandments. That's what this is telling us, that God wrote the 10 commandments. And we started at Exodus 8:19 when it was talking about the plagues, Moses holding the rod, doing what God was telling him to do with the rod. And the magicians told Pharaoh that this is God's finger. And if you didn't know, they're talking about the rod. They're not saying that the act that we're seeing is God's finger. No, they've already seen what this rod has done. It ate up 2 of their serpents, 2 of their rods. They saw that. The whole time they knew it was this rod. They knew. If you were holding a rod and you dropped it and it turned into a snake, and someone across from you had a rod, they dropped it, it turned to a snake, and their snaky rod ate up your 2 snaky rods, are you not looking at that rod like, what in the heck is this guy holding?
Absolutely.
Or are you just looking at Moses? Tell the truth. Tell the truth. If this happens right in front of you, you're looking at Moses, or are you looking at that rod like, well, what in the world is this guy holding right here?
Dog, the minute that rod turns into a snake, I'm jumping on a tree like Zacchaeus. You hear me?
Yeah, right. But they notice that every time a plague is happening, he's using the rod. That's what they notice. And Pharaoh knew Moses. So you really thought he was believing that Moses was doing this, bro? Think about it. He knew Moses since he was a kid. You're going to sit here and make me believe, we're talking about human beings here. You're going to sit here and make me believe that he really believed Moses was doing all this. They knew, what in the heck is this guy got with him? Because the Moses we know, this ain't making sense. The Bible don't have to say that, man. The Bible does not have to say that. There's people that I haven't seen in 20-some years, bro, since high school. And I see them and they come back looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm like, gaw. Like, bro, you are not the same guy that I remember. He's like, well, I've been juicing for 5 years. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. You've been juicing for 5 years because you were skinny as heck. Talking about when they're being honest. I've been juicing for 5 years. Like, yeah, that makes sense. It ain't no different. Somebody questioning what's different about you. Moses had this rod. all of a sudden. And then don't forget this part, or better yet, well, no, there's no need to digress there. Let me see. All right, so let me see. Gene, we say, did Moses and Aaron share the same rod? No, every man had their own rod. Every man had their own rod. But what you learn from that is we all share the same rod. That's the whole point. They may have had physical different rods, but God was on their side. We all have the iron rod. It's no longer a wooden stick. So, and if you remember, before the Ten Commandments were written, the people said, any law that God gives us, we can do. This is how this started. That's what they said. Any law that he gives us, we can do. And when you pay attention to like God's character in the Bible, you know that's the wrong answer. Because people cling to laws and regulations. They cling to it because it's easier to believe that you can merit something, that you can earn it. It's always easier. Right? So they said any law that he gives us, we can do. Well, then that's why they got a law. Because that's what they wanted. They wanted a law. My hubby, I knew. So when did Moses develop his stutter? Oh man, we'll talk about Moses' stutter another. You get me talking about that, we're going to digress like we did that one day. Dre asked me a question. We'll talk about Moses' stutter another day, but don't forget about it. Don't forget about the stutter. So we see the rod of God being called the finger of God. Later on, the Bible tells us that the finger of God wrote the 10 Commandments. The finger of God wrote the 10 Commandments. They were etched on stone. There's a reason why I'm saying this 50,000 times. There's a reason. But this is the problem, though. People are not familiar. They're not familiar with the stories. They're not familiar with God in the Old Testament. So we go to the New Testament and everything starts to be compartmentalized. Either Jesus is God or he's not. Period. He either is God or he's not God. So let's go to Exodus 29:12.
Verse 12. And thou shalt take of the blood of the bullock, and put it upon the horns of the altar with thy finger, and pour all the blood beside the bottom of the altar.
All right. So now this is the high priest that's doing this. So 29:12, it says, and put it upon the horns of the altar with thy finger. So they're told to put blood on the altar with their finger. Now, let's be honest. Why does it have to be done with the finger? Couldn't it have been put on any other way? I'm saying as far as the job getting done, as far as accomplishing the task as putting the blood on the altar, couldn't it be done another way? Right? Listen, the question is, no, I'm not talking about that, Flip. I'm not saying is there another way of God. I'm saying, listen to what I'm asking. Couldn't there, it's a yes or no question, isn't there 100 ways that we can put blood on this altar?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
100%.
Yes.
So, but we're just gonna. But the way that God's gonna do it is with the high priest finger. That's the way that God wants to do it, with the high priest finger, and Jesus is the high priest.
Hey, question though.
Yeah,
I wasn't here yesterday. So when you say finger, are you talking about like God just like writing it down, right? His creative work, something like that.
I'm talking
You got to
about
catch the
finger.
YouTube, brother.
Yeah, bro. So
Ah,
we got this YouTube channel, bro. That how come you didn't come yesterday, bro? Oh man, you missed it.
bruh. I work night shifts now.
Oh, my bad, bro. My
Yeah,
bad.
that's all good.
All right. So, yeah. So, all right. So, so I'm going to read a little bit of this, and I'm hoping this is it right here. So I'm going to start at, no matter of fact, Tara, why don't you go ahead and read 29:1 all the way back to 12. So just read 29:1 to 12.
This is the thing that thou shalt do unto them to hallow them, to minister unto me in the priest's office. Take 1 young bullock and 2 rams without blemish, and unleavened bread, and cakes unleavened, tempered with oil, and wafers unleavened, anointed with oil. Of wheaten flour shalt thou make them. And thou shalt put them into 1 basket, and bring them basket with the bullock and rams. And Aaron and his sons thou shalt bring unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and shalt wash them with water. And thou shalt take the garments, and put upon Aaron the coat, and the robe of the ephod, and the breastplate, and gird him with the curious girdle of the ephod. And thou shalt put the mitre upon his head, and put the holy crown upon the mitre. Then shalt thou take the anointing oil, and pour it upon his head, and anoint him. And thou shalt bring his sons, and put coats upon them. And thou shalt gird them with girdles, Aaron and his sons, and put the bonnets on them, and the priest's office shall be theirs for a perpetual statute. And thou shalt consecrate Aaron and his sons. And thou shalt cause a bullock to be brought before the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the bullock. And thou shalt unalive the bullock before the Lord by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And thou shalt take the blood of the bullock, and put it upon the horns of the altar with thy finger, and pour all the blood beside the bottom of the altar.
Right. So notice that the high priest has to be prepared as the high priest before the finger puts the blood on the altar. Right? All right. Oh. Give me a second. Come on. Oh. Okay, Tara, read. Let me make sure this is the right spot. Oh, here it is. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is it. All right, so go to Leviticus. Leviticus 8, 22 and 23.
Leviticus 8, 22 and 23. And he brought the other ram, the ram of consecration. And Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the ram. And he slew it, and Moses took the blood of it and put it upon the tip of Aaron's right ear, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot.
Okay. Let's see. It was right foot. No, I'm sorry. Read. That was 22 and 23. I'm sorry. Read to 26. My bad. 26.
Okay. And he brought Aaron's sons, and Moses put of the blood upon the tip of their right ear, and upon the thumbs of their right hands, and upon the great toes of their right feet. And Moses sprinkled the blood upon the altar round about. And he took the fat and the rump, and all the fat that was upon the inwards, and the caul above the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and their fat, and the right shoulder. And out of the basket of unleavened bread that was before the Lord, he took 1 unleavened cake and a cake of oiled bread, and 1 wafer, and put them on the fat, and upon the right shoulder.
So we constantly see the right side being mentioned here, right? The right side. We constantly see the blood being put on the right side as well. It's not just everything's right side, it's the blood is on the right side, the tip of the ear, right? The right thumb and the right big toe, basically. So the right side is being consecrated with the blood of this animal on the high priest. And then Moses takes this blood and sprinkles it on the altar. The blood that was put on the right ear, right thumb, right big toe, same blood was used to sprinkle the altar. And where's the verse that tells us that Jesus sprinkled his blood on the altar in heaven? Does anybody remember?
That's in Revelation.
Nobody remembers.
Isn't it?
I think that's in Hebrews.
Yeah, I have Hebrews in my head, but I don't remember where it's at.
Yeah, I think it's
It could be,
we
Hebrews
still need to
9.
read it.
Hebrews. Hebrews 9:21.
Yeah.
Yeah, read it.
You talking to me or are you talking to the scribe?
It don't matter. It don't matter. Tara could read it.
In verse 21, moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry.
Let me see.
Maybe we should go up.
Go to 9:12.
Yeah,
9:12,
maybe.
yeah.
Okay, 9 verse 12. Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having
Right there,
obtained eternal redemption for us.
Yeah. No,
You
I'm
might as
looking
well
for the
just
one that
keep
says.
reading the whole thing.
Where's
Just
the
keep reading that
one
all the way
that's?
through.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Just
read the one that says
continue.
mercy seat. The one that I just told you was the
okay.
one that says the mercy seat.
Okay.
For if
my
the
bad.
blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctifieth to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God? And for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator. For a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise it is of no strength at all while the testator liveth. Whereupon neither the first testament was dedicated without blood, For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book and all the people, saying, This is the blood of the testament which God hath enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry. And almost all things are by the law purged with blood, and without shedding of blood is no remission. It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these, but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these. For Christ is not entered into the holy places made with hands, which are the figures of the true, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of God for us. Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest entereth into the holy place every year with blood of others. For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world. But now once in the end of the world hath he appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment, so Christ was once more offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation.
Okay. The reason why we kind of read a little bit more than that is because it points out a lot of things. It's bringing back to memory the things in the Old Testament. It's bringing it back. Okay. So the writer of Hebrews is saying, hey, do you remember Moses when Moses did all this? So what he's doing is he's pointing out shadows. And he's like, guys, this is what Jesus did. And he starts talking about how Jesus poured his own blood in the Holy of Holies, his own blood. And the Bible makes it clear that sprinkled his blood in heaven. And if someone doesn't understand that, we can go find all the verses that talk about that. But he had to pour out his own blood on everything. Okay. And let me continue. Well, all this will come together here in a minute. So Tara, go to Psalms 144:1, which is basically my favorite verse, but
Leo may mention maybe it talks about the blood on the altar in Hebrews 12:24. If you wanted to hear that one particularly, I think
there's a bunch of them, and we can read that one too. We absolutely can.
Okay, you said Psalm 144, verse 1.
Yes.
Blessed be the Lord my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight.
Okay, so what does it say? Blessed what?
Be the Lord my strength.
Okay, so the Lord is our strength, right? Samson was only strong because of what?
Faith.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying in the black letters on a white page.
His hair.
Black letters on a white
hair.
page. Because of his hair. Okay, and we know that faith is the only thing that makes a man strong. We know that. It's not because of your long hair. That's the parabolic part of the Bible, the poetry also. So the Lord is our strength because of faith. That's why. You're not just strong because you're strong. It's because of your faith and because of Christ. And it says that he's our strength. What does it say after that, Tara?
He teaches our hands to war and our fingers to fight.
Right. He teaches our hands to war. And what hands? What fingers?
The ones I got to
What
test
hands and
my
fingers?
arms.
Our right
I'm
ones?
joking.
Huh?
Our right ones?
No, it's God's hands. It's God's fingers. Not your hands. Not your fingers.
Say it again. You're confusing me. I need you to run that back.
All right. I'm going to say something that I shouldn't be saying for another hour, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. Okay. Our strength is because of him, right? Our strength is because of him. So if our strength is faith, it's our physical hands and fingers that win us battles. Is it our physical hands and our physical fingers that win battles?
No.
Or is it his hand and his finger?
It's
No?
his
Y'all
hand,
still
his
don't see
finger.
it?
No,
Yeah,
I
Right.
yeah.
So when
it's all
Moses
him.
was with battle with Pharaoh, was it his finger or God's finger that did everything? Whose finger was it?
God's finger. God's
God's
finger.
finger. Okay, so he was strong, his strength was because of God's finger. So we have spiritual hands and spiritual fingers, just like we have spiritual eyes, spiritual ears. We have spiritual hands and spiritual fingers, but it's God's finger. It's God's hand. It's Jesus, the right arm of God. The servitude, who we serve, is not based on our physical hand. My physical hand is not showing who I serve. It's my spiritual hand is who
Hey,
I
Trot,
serve. Yeah.
would this connect to strengthening the weak hands and the feeble knees?
Yes. 100%. Yes, bro. 100%. And now I'm going to say the thing I probably shouldn't say for another hour. But instead of leaving everybody scratching their heads for a full hour, what did Jesus tell the scribes and the Pharisee that they do not do? They said, you put all this burden on the people, but there's one thing you don't do. What was it?
Lift a
Lift,
finger.
lift a finger.
Right. Right. What finger? What finger?
The spiritual finger. God's finger.
God's
Jesus
finger.
Authority.
is. Right. Jesus is the finger. So without
That's Matthew
him,
23, isn't it?
you will not be able to lift a burden off them. There's not 10 ways to lift a burden off people. There's only one way. Jesus is saying, if you don't use me, that law burden will never be taken away. That's what he's telling them. He's not telling them to take your hand and go pat him on the back and talk pretty to him to lift the burden off. No, so here we are again. Jesus is God. He knows exactly what he is saying. He knows exactly who needs to hear it, and they just don't understand what he's telling them. Here we go again. So how many more of, where people say, oh, man, you're just kind of, really, bro? Really? Really? So it just so happens to always go this way then. Right? It's just a
Look at
coincidence.
what Mike said.
Well, before you read that, just for the people in the chats that are still within the Bible study, that's Matthew 23. That's when he gets at all the Pharisees, and it's 23 verse 4 exactly that says they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and they lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers.
Right. Okay, so where was that? Because there's people asking where the address to that is.
Matthew 23 verse 4. Matthew 23 verse 4. That's when he calls them whitewashed tombs with dead man bones in them. He talks about giving tithes and all the stuff that they're nasty.
Right. So why calling them dead and then say they can't lift a burden with one of their fingers? If you don't understand what Jesus is saying, I'm telling you, God speaks one way. You either understand what he's saying or you don't understand. And to sit here and think that he's saying that they need to use their dead fingers because they're dead, he makes it very clear in this area. This is God talking here. He's not dumb. He knows exactly what he's saying. And for anyone to think that he's literally saying, well, you can't lift the burden with your fingers. First of all, that's exactly what he's saying as far as them being dead, meaning you can't. But why is he talking about fingers this way? I'm sitting there telling you this is God, because God's finger is the only thing that has ever had a true substance in this world. It's been him the whole time. And now here he is again, and he's telling them what they can't do because it's not with him. It can only be through him. What, Dre?
I'm just reading 23 and it's cracking me up, bro. 'Cause it's one of my favorites, but now that I've kind of gotten the legend for some of this stuff, it's hilarious what he's saying. Now I'm
What?
cracking up. Just in
What'd he
general,
say?
bro. Like he's like, you call him Rabbi, Rabbi, and so on and so forth. He says, but he is the greatest amongst you shall be your servant. He's talking to
Yeah.
It's too funny,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, no, he
They
is. He's
missed
a
the
trip,
boat,
dude.
bro. They missed the boat. He calls them blind guides like a million times, like at least 5 times. He calls them a blind guide, generation of vipers. Where's the one?
He's just going in.
Yeah, I mean, he said, where is it? And whosoever shall swear by the temple sweareth by it, but he that dwelleth therein. And he that shall swear by heaven sweareth by the throne of God and by him that sitteth on the throne. So he's telling them like, you guys are so like dumb. Like, I'm right here in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Oh
me.
yeah,
I'm the servant.
that's all that's all he yeah, that's all he's doing the whole time. So he didn't just start testifying of himself when he was here. The whole Old Testament was testifying of him, and he did nothing but continue that when he got here. Everything he said, every little remark that he made was him either saying something like new to their face or he was repeating something that's already been. And so for him to be talking about fingers, no coincidence. It's not. I'm sorry. I know you wish that it was all a coincidence and nobody knows what he's saying. I wish that was true for you, but I'm sorry, it's not. The Bible tells you what he's saying, but if you are not familiar with the Old Testament, you're going to be sitting here playing around in the New Testament, pointing your finger at everybody, saying that they don't understand what they're reading because you don't. And the truth is, it's you. You're the problem. You don't understand what the Old Testament is saying. And so you go around telling everybody that they don't. That's the way that we're supposed to live? No. So now you're saying that God's not revealing all these things to us. And that's a lie. It's a complete lie. It's such a lie. It's a heresy to even think that way, to think that God is just coincidentally doing things and it has no validity. I don't understand where people are getting these ideas that Jesus just does stuff and there's no validity there. And it's like, oh,
Here's
well, one day, what?
my bad. I was gonna say here's a
What?
Stephen quote. We talked about Stephen not too long ago. Verse 37 in that same chapter, it's like Stephen's quoting Jesus as well. He says, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou hast killeth the prophets and stoneth them which are sent to thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together, even to the hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. So that's again Stephen quoting that they kill the prophets. Jesus was saying it as well. Just cross references. We talked about Stephen not too long ago.
Right. All right, Tara, let's read Proverbs 6:13.
Proverbs 6, verse 13. He winketh with his eyes, he speaketh with his feet, he teacheth with his fingers.
Hold on, Tara, you're
You
cutting
broke
out.
up, Sarah. Say it again.
Yeah. Say it
You
again.
broke
Do it
out.
again.
He winketh with his eyes, he speaketh with his feet, he teacheth with his fingers.
Right. How does he speak with his feet?
The gospel.
Yep.
Yeah, the
How beautiful are their
feet.
feet that preach the gospel. He speaketh with his feet. It's the message. Guys, again, it's the message. Just like we were talking about yesterday.
What's
He
the winking
always
eye,
brings
though?
a message. Huh?
What about the winking eye?
What?
Doesn't it?
Go
Isn't there a
look that
reference
up in
that?
Hebrew.
But isn't there a reference that's
Go
like
look it
talks
up in
about
Hebrew.
somebody? Yeah. I'm going to right now. But isn't there like a reference of
Yeah.
somebody who winks and then he calls him like not a good person in Proverbs? I can't. I know for a fact I read it. I know for a fact I read it.
Yeah, no, let's go look it up. Look it up in the
All right, give me a second.
but I wanted to hit the feet
Proverbs.
first because that's the one that
Proverbs 6:13.
We looking up the feet?
Well, we're looking up the which one you want me to do the winking or which one? Which
Yeah,
one do you want me to do
that one,
first?
the one you brought up. Yeah.
All right,
No, that
winketh
one.
H71. Where is it? H7169. The narrow form, nip, pinch, squeeze, wink, purse. The pinch to be nipped or to be pinched off. Be formed.
No, hold on. What's the number?
H7169.
7169. 7169. 7169. 7169.
Hey, try while you looking that up. There was a Muslim yesterday. Benny, Dawood, you know Dawood. He was trying to say that the Holy Spirit, like, how could the Holy Spirit have blood? He was just messing. He was just butchering scripture bad. But the funny thing is, he says, I looked it up in the strongest concordance.
The strongest. Hey, no. Hey, listen, Flip says he's got the strongest.
The strongest.
Unless
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Styles
great.
also.
Flip.
I was crying
yo,
laughing, bro. When he
No,
said the
Flip, listen, Flip,
strongest.
listen. No, listen, bro, listen. No, listen. Flip has a strong concordance, and it's called the strongest.
yeah, I actually got the strongest concordance. No
Oh
lie.
my
It says the
goodness.
words
Oh my
strongest.
Lord.
So that he might have been
Yeah.
talking about the actual strongest concordance.
You know,
Flip, maybe you got it for a discount because they messed up on the cover.
Yeah.
he got the edition that
Bruh.
he got the clearance edition that had the misprint.
Yeah, he got
Yeah.
everyone
Well,
else
The
got the black
updated
letters on the white
concordance,
page. He
y'all.
got
I
the
have the
Rhema
same
one.
one. Leave them alone.
Hey, what was the verse? Proverbs what?
6
31?
13.
6:13. All right.
Yeah. So the twinkling eye or the blinking eye, it's talking about the action of the eye, bro. Right. So like when you blink your eye, it's the action of a pinch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like pinching. Okay. But it's referring to like pinch clay off to mold it, bro. That's what that word is used for. So it's not just talking about him blinking his eye. Like the way that word is used is like how like you would pinch off clay to mold it.
Yeah, that makes sense because it says he winketh with his eyes, comma, and he speaketh
Yeah,
with his feet. You can't speak with your feet,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. So his eye his
Yeah,
eyesight, bro, is how he creates. This goes all the way back to
that's why he's
all
called the
the
Potter.
yeah and go ahead.
Proverbs 6 is talking about a naughty person, all right? A wicked man.
I mean, that's what I always thought. That's why that's why
Well,
I'm
I'm
like,
saying what Trot is saying is absolutely correct with what he means by this definition. But in Proverbs 6, are y'all talking about the context of 6, or are you just talking about that particular word?
Well, let's go. All right. So you want to read all of 6? All right. Let's read all of 6 then.
No, if you just start at 12, it
Oh,
tells you it's talking about a naughty person. And when you look at the word winketh, it means like, you know how you wink and bite your lip? And malice is what it's saying, like a gesture of malice, like seducing.
right. That's exactly that. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Benny. I was like, man, I always thought that was like talking about a bad person, not a good person. That's why I was
But what Trot is talking about also applies to that same word to pinch
well,
off and
obviously,
to be
but that,
formed.
yeah. No, I get it, but the context of that particular like thing, I thought it was referring to a person that didn't have good intentions. But there's two sides to everything, right?
all
There's
right.
the finger of God and the finger of obviously that teaches bad.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Let me see. Just give me a second. All right, so let's go to Proverbs 6. Let's go to 1. Oh, let's see. Oh, we don't have to start at 1. So let's go down to, let's see, 12, 11, you shall poverty come, the travailish. So let me, warning against, all right here. Yeah, Tara, can you read Proverbs 6, 12 to 19?
A naughty person, a wicked man, walketh with a froward mouth. He winketh with his eyes, he speaketh with his feet. He teacheth with his fingers. Frowardness is in his heart. He deviseth mischief continually. He soweth discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy. These 6 things doth the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. A heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren.
All right. So in 18, he says, a heart that deviseth wicked imagination. Is there a good imagination too?
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Sir.
So we can't get caught up. We can't get caught up when it's talking about a good or a bad man, because the more you understand the Old Testament, you'll understand there's 2 of everything, right? So it says, a heart that deviseth wicked imagination. For anyone to not understand that God is a God of an imagination, so, that means God has a bad imagination. It's talking about a wicked man with a bad imagination. It's not negating a good one. So in the Old Testament, the flood occurred, and it makes it clear why. It says, for their imagination was evil continuously, which means our imagination is supposed to be good, not evil. And it says, feet to be swift in running to mischief. What is our feet supposed to be swift into doing?
Gospel.
The gospel. So it shouldn't be hard to understand. We go up to 12, and it says, 13, it says, he winketh with his eyes, he speaketh with his feet. We do too. We speak with our feet too. And it's talking about the gospel. That's why it says, take up your bed and walk. The gospel. It's talking about the gospel. That look, or back up. It's talking about the message. It's talking about the message that you're bringing. And so
That's
when people
good.
turn this and you can't see past it talking about a wicked person, you're not allowing yourself to see the other side while you're reading it. So of course, there are people that bring a bad message. There are people that have a wicked imagination, but it doesn't negate the good imagination. Just because people have a bad one, it doesn't negate that there's a good one. And then it says he teaches with his fingers. Haven't we already seen that God teaches with his finger? Haven't we already seen that all day yesterday and today? Is Jesus not that finger that teaches? Is that not true anymore? Because it happens to be talking this way about a bad man? All right, so now this one, let me see.
And that word forwardness is literally turned over. And so that would kind of go back to like turn aside, like you turn aside to God or you turn over to evil.
All right, let's go, Tara, let's go to Isaiah 2:8. Excuse me.
Isaiah 2, verse 8. The land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made.
Right. That which their own finger has made. Their own finger. Why would there be this? Why does the Bible always talk this way? Like there's supposed to be another finger that's supposed to make something. Do you not see this? Do you not hear it? It says, watch. That which their own fingers have made. What does that mean? Why is it being pointed out this way? That they made something with the
Their
finger.
own works.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying, just hearing this, there's an option. If you
Right,
listen to
that's
what
what
I'm
I was
saying,
gonna say.
there's an option
They
here, but
they
it's like
chose
they
the
chose
worst.
to use their own finger. Listen to what it's saying. Made by their own finger. It's not trying to say, it's not only focused, like for instance, if I was to make a dish of food, if I was to make a dish of food and I told y'all, look at this, man, I made this with my own finger, wouldn't you say, no duh? No duh, you made it with your own finger, bro. What are you talking about? Y'all don't understand? Y'all don't see
No,
how
but
weird this
yeah,
sounds?
but you didn't use the recipe given. You used your own recipe.
Yeah, you could put it that way. Yeah. But I'm saying, let's say I didn't have a recipe, nothing. But I keep saying I made this with, if I say, bro, I made this by myself, bro. And you're like, well, yeah, bro, it's okay. In the Bible, when it says they made something with their own hands, their own finger, they're saying that God was not involved. That's what it's saying. God was not
I'd
involved.
go
They did it
back
all on
to,
their own.
isn't there the passage of the builder? And if the Lord doesn't build it, those who build in vain.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch. I'm just waiting for someone to throw some of them out there because I don't know how come nobody's throwing out in the Old Testament how it talks about certain stones and it says hewn stones and it talks about stones not made by your hands. It's all over in the Old Testament. Nobody can remember any of them. See? My Lord,
I
have
was on
mercy.
I was on a phone call, bro. What was the question now?
Where do you hear in the Bible? It don't matter where. It doesn't matter. Where it talks about people making things with their own hands, and it talks about things that are not made with man's hands.
Well, I know it talks about. I think it's Isaiah. It talks about the God that they create with their own hands. That they're dumb, deaf, and mute. They can't speak. They're created by man's hands of man.
Let's go. Let's go there. Let's that one.
I
Somebody
think it's
find it.
I think it's
Somebody else
Isaiah
find the
6.
temple.
Hold on.
There's
Somebody else
another
find.
one. Okay, my bad, Troy. He said
No,
somebody
you're
found
good.
the one with the temple not made with hands, and there's another
Yeah,
one,
somebody find that one.
a stone in Daniel that comes from the mountain, chipped off, right? A
Look,
stone
go
not made
find it.
with
Let's go.
hands.
Let's go. Let's go find it. Let's go. Let's try to make some sense out of some of the things that's being said here because, it's just
Isaiah 2
you
and
know
8. I think. Did you read that already?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of where this started.
Oh, okay. It's Isaiah. Where is it? To the children, everyone, idle silver with your own. Yeah, Isaiah 31, 6 through 7. You want me to read it, or is
Yeah,
Tara reading?
I don't know where Tara went. I think she hopped off.
Oh
Tara had to
snap! I just
go.
realized that. I didn't know that. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me
Isaiah
go
What
myself.
31.
what about Exodus
I'm
39?
right there.
Hold on.
I
Isaiah
don't know.
30.
Somebody start reading something.
So
Yeah,
Isaiah
just hold on, guys.
31, 6 through 7 says, Turn ye unto him from whom the children of Israel have deeply revolted. For in that day every man shall cast away his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which your own hands have made unto you for a sin.
What version are you reading, bro?
What?
You got to read the Bible, bro.
I am.
What, bro? Did I
That's the
miss
King
something? What does
James.
that got to do with? I missed something, bro, in what you're reading. I didn't hear anything about made with hands or no hands. I must have, maybe it skipped or something.
It says, yeah, in verse 7, it says, "What your own hands have made unto you for a sin."
Okay, my bad. Yeah, I must have missed that. All
Clearly,
right, what else?
not as familiar. No.
Go.
Keep thinking about the
Patty.
cowgirls all the time, and you can't
Oh,
perceive the spiritual
wow.
Nah, that's
things.
y'all. That's
You about
y'all,
to
bro.
start some
That's y'all.
nonsense,
Y'all
huh?
go to sleep thinking about them.
Spoke.
Shots fired.
All
Daniel
right, next.
31, Daniel 2:31 through 45 talks about a stone that was cut out with no human hands. That's the one that you were talking about. It was God that did it, right?
And that, what does it say? Cut what?
Without human hands. A stone cut
Yeah,
without
without
human
human
hands.
hands. So we're going to constantly see this made with your hands, made with your hands. We aren't sitting here making up the terms made with your hands, made with your hands, and then on the other side, talks about God doing it. So basically, what you'll see is man did it, God did it, God did it. You see it throughout the entire Bible, and it's there for a reason. And you have to ask yourself, well, what is this referring to? Because it's going all the way back to the church, the foundation of the spiritual church. It's not made with man's hands. That's what all this is going back to. It was made with God's hand and God's finger. We see this all the way through the Old Testament. Constantly we see this, God's hand, God's finger. What was it that brought salvation? What was it that brought salvation to us?
His right arm.
His right arm. Does an arm have a hand? Does an arm have a finger? We see this throughout the whole Testament. All right, so is there another one y'all want to read?
Let me read this one in the New Testament just for cross reference.
Okay.
It says Colossians 2:8 through 11. It says, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophies of vain deceit and through the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. For in him dwelleth the fullness of the Godhead bodily, and ye are complete in him, which is the head of the prince of all principality and power." Verse 11 is a key one. It says, in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands.
Right. Okay. So the first circumcision, how was that made?
With your hands.
With hands. Okay. So watch. Right. Exactly. They had to take a stone and they had to hewn it. Right. They had to basically sharpen it, and we know how to do that with stone. It's called was it chipping or how do you say it?
Yeah. I don't know, right? You chip it until it gets sharp.
Yeah, exactly. But it was all done with your own hand. And then Paul tells us that circumcision is of the heart. Well, who can circumcise the heart? Who can do that? Whose hands can do that? Whose
Finger of
hand
God.
and whose hand and finger is doing that? So from the very beginning, we see the finger of God, which is the rod of God. And if you don't know, the rod is Christ. It was from the very beginning, it was that glorified God, that the power of God was shown through that finger. Nothing has changed at all, not even a little bit. It's still that finger right there. Okay, so what was that? Where did we go? That was Isaiah 2:8. I think that's where we were.
Yeah. Hey Dre, what was the address for the Daniel one?
Daniel. Oh, let me go back. Daniel 30. No, not 30. It's a couple of them, but Daniel 2:31 through 45. That's where I got the 30 from. Daniel chapter 2:31 through 45.
Okay. Through 45.
Yeah.
Hey,
Y'all are dumb, man.
yeah, I got a question, Trot. When we see in Egypt in Genesis, when they have the Israel making the bricks, is that considered part of the stones?
Well, let's go to the scripture. I need you to find what you're talking about, and let's read it in scripture.
Boy, could somebody help me? Because I'm out on the road.
Somebody will help you.
That's
No,
what
you
you
find
get.
it.
That's what you
Nah,
get, bro.
player.
You
Nah.
want to bring stuff up, then you can't back it up, bro. What's up with that, man?
Yeah, you don't got a question.
Somebody
You
will
got
Oh
a
help you
my
find it,
statement.
bro.
goodness.
Yella,
I
get
don't see
down, get
the
down.
hand of God in this. No.
Because you're looking with your carnal eyes.
Oh, okay. Y'all dumb, bro.
Oh
Where's
my
the finger of
God.
God at? I see the finger of hate. Where's the finger of God?
Uh,
All right, so somebody help Bill find what he's talking about real quick.
I don't know what Bill's talking about, but
Wait,
It's
Israel is making
Exodus
before
chapter 5.
Moses. Thank
While
you.
y'all look that up, I'm gonna drop another one real quick in here in the New
oh,
Testament
yeah.
because I'm like flying through some of this stuff. It's crazy. Second Corinthians chapter 5 verse 1 through 5 it says, "For we know that if the tent that is our earthly home is destroyed, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens, in the tent that we groan, longing to put on our heavenly dwelling," and so on and so forth. But it's the hands reference right there, that we have a house not built with hands.
Right, and
Amen.
what is that house?
The New Jerusalem. No, it's
That's
Well,
Eden.
Heart.
that's
It's
the
the
new
heart.
heart. Yep.
it's the temple, right? Know ye not that ye are the temple? How was that temple built? With man's hands?
Nope.
Oh, no,
Nope.
no,
With
no.
the It was the hands of God that built that temple, and we are the temple.
Hey, Bill, are you
Yes,
talking about
that's
when
us. Pink
Pharaoh?
said that's us.
Are you talking about when Pharaoh made them get their own brick and their own straw?
Yes, sir.
It's Exodus 5.
Man, I got a couple references I can start dropping in here, bro. There's
Exodus,
some good ones in
I,
here.
Exodus 5, 16, 7 and 16 talks about it.
Get it?
Bro, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to go down my own rabbit hole for a second here, guys.
I don't think that
I'm
pertains
willing to
to,
go down mine.
That's why I was asking Ben, because I wasn't sure if
yeah.
that considered part of stones, because they're building it with their hand. They're being forced to build something, or to create a stone, a brick, you know?
Yeah, well, we was talking
Yeah.
about the hand of God versus the hand of man, but see, Pharaoh had his people.
Stone.
Yeah, Pharaoh had his people getting them straw at first and brick, but the new Pharaoh said that he's gonna be worse than his dad and make them get their own straw and brick.
Oh, yeah. So y'all are referring to when the Hebrews were making bricks. That's what y'all are talking about?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to know, because if we was looking up the stones where it talks about stones and bricks. Well, stones, is that considered making their own stone, because they were making it out of straw and mud to make
Yeah, no, that's
a
not
brick.
wrong. Okay, yeah, no, okay. So, like in context, we know that they're making bricks for Pharaoh, right? Because they're slaves. The Hebrew were slaves at this point, pretty much, right? So, this is what we can do, right? So when you look at it in its totality, right, in its entirety, we do know that the Hebrews were in bondage, right? They were in bondage, and we know that that's a foreshadowing of man being in bondage under the law, and then that Satan uses the law to hurt us, right? So we do know that there's a truth there. So it's not wrong to say that it's a foreshadowing or a depiction of man's works. That's what it is, right? Meaning earning, right? The works of the law, being bondage, meaning that you're right with God because of your works, not because of grace, but because of works. So their works making stone, you definitely can say that that's a foreshadowing of being in bondage and having good works. So yeah,
All right. Thanks.
yeah, because it goes back to bondage, and you just have to remember, while under bondage, what is this referring to? Under bondage, it's talking about that you have to have good works because you're under the law, right? The law says if you don't do good, you get bad. That's what the law says. But now that we're under grace and now we're under the works of God, right, which is Christ. Christ came down here. The hand of God, the finger of God was now here, and now it was based on his works. And so because it's now based on his works, we're no longer under bondage. It's not based on our works any longer. So yeah, if that's what you're saying, then yeah, 100%. You know, let me see.
I wanted to kind of go back to like the feeble knees. Like, what's the feeble knees? I get the weak hands, but what's the feeble
I
knees
don't know. Bring it
about?
up. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's the verse
Isaiah
at?
Isaiah 35:3 through
All right.
3.
Let me look at it real quick. Isaiah 35:3.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So let's just start at 35:1. It says, the wilderness, right? What's that? We shouldn't even have to go any further, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. What's the wilderness?
Those who are desolate, dry, without Christ. They don't
Right. So
believe.
that would
They're
be
not born
those,
again.
right. So that would be those that are still in exile, not brought into Eden, but still exiled out of Eden, which is the presence of God. Right. All right.
Yeah.
So it says, the wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. Now, if you don't know, most of the time that's talking about the rose of Sharon, but that is Jesus is that rose.
Amen.
All right. But it says, it shall blossom abundantly and rejoice, even with the joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord, and he excellency of our God. 3, strengthen ye the weak hands, and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of the fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, even God with recompense. He will come and save you. Then, watch this. Then, not before, then the eyes of the blind shall be open, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as a hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert. And we'll read the rest of it, but this is literally talking about your heart coming alive. That's what this is talking about. A person's heart coming alive. So in 3 it says, strengthen ye the weak hand, and confirm the feeble knee. What's the weak hand?
Us, the carnal mind. No?
The
No.
fingers that and the works done without the finger of God, finger and work of
Yeah,
God.
but it says strengthen the weak hand, right? Because remember, this person is desolate.
Right.
The spiritual hand. You're strengthening the spirit. You're teaching someone how to utilize faith. Because in order to utilize faith, you have to put forth your hand. But it's your spiritual hand. You have to learn
like
how to basically, you have to teach yourself how to pluck. If you want to have a good eye understanding, you're teaching someone how to pluck an apple from a tree, but with their spiritual hand. You're teaching them how to reach out and take it.
Is that like talking about a babe in Christ?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yes. They have to be taught.
What's the opposite of weak, feeble knees? The Bible always says, gird up your loins, stand up like a man. You
Yep.
know,
Exactly.
and it's
Yeah.
talking about being of
Yeah.
heart, being of courage.
Yeah. The feeble knees are the fearful. people who are broken down, not strengthened, right? So it says, strengthen ye the weak hands. It's talking about teaching someone how to learn how to reach out and take it, right? Because the way God did this is all we have to do is believe. That's all you have to do. And when you first teaching someone to believe, it's not easy. You go talk to a baby in Christ and you go tell them to harness their emotions. They've never done that. And they're like, well, what do you mean? Like, it was sad. You're like, yeah, okay. But are you supposed to fall apart like that, the way you're falling apart? Like, is it supposed to destroy your life, this hard thing? And they're like, well, yeah, there are people that will tell you that. And then there's people that know the answer, and they're like, well, no. And then like, well, then why are you allowing it to then? And because they don't understand, they get mad at you because they haven't learned how to reach out and take joy. Joy is not a feeling. I know in this world, right, if we look up the word joy, we can turn it into a feeling, but joy is not a feeling. Jesus is joy, and he is not a feeling. It's a truth, but you have to learn how to reach out and take it, and you only can take it by faith. You only can believe that you're in joy, even though the circumstances says you're not. So the hard time around you is telling you this is the worst time of your life. And you're like, no, it ain't. Not even close.
Oh man, that's
Hey, Chuck.
that's like in James chapter 1, all joy as you go, as your faith is being tested. And it's the second,
yes,
and when
absolutely.
you look at the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, yeah.
that's why
Joy is
Count it.
joy is that harp. That's the harp.
yeah.
In Psalms, it talks about the ceasing, the joy, of the harp, the joy of the harp ceasing. But like you said, it's the heart, and it's the joy is the Holy Ghost. That's the kingdom. That joy. You know what I mean? But what I was gonna say when you talked about people knowing the right answer, but still letting it affect them, reminds me of Job. His friends told him, man, you always encourage others, but now this thing has to be falling on you, and you fall apart. You know what I mean?
You fall apart. Yeah. Yeah. Debbie said, actually, joy is a feeling emotion. Yeah. In this world, Debbie, we're talking about with God. We're not
It's
talking
a
about,
choice.
yeah, Debbie,
kingdom.
we're not talking about joy in this world. We're talking about joy of the Lord.
So let
That's
me
the
ask you this,
thing.
Trot. So when I read like the history on like church history and things like that, like when I go through like James, right? It says that James's knees were like camel knees because of how much he prayed on his knees. Like, did he like miss the boat or something? Like, did he not understand what the Bible was saying? Or
I don't know. Let's go to it. What are you talking about?
well, it's church history. It's not in the Bible, but I could find it. Give me a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is, I think is, what you call it, conjecture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I really
Let's see.
don't.
Debbie said, truth is also an emotion. No, God is the truth, and God's not an emotion. I'm not talking about this. Debbie, I don't know if you're listening. I don't even know if you've been here long enough to give a comment, honestly, because your comments are not making any sense. You said truth is also an emotion. I'm not talking about of this world. I think we're talking about two different things there,
Yeah.
Debs. You're
Yeah.
talking about things of this world. I'm talking about, are you a Christian? Like, do you even believe in God? Because it doesn't seem like it, because you keep talking about things of this world, and that's not what we're talking about. I'm not either.
See, joy is more than the emotion and the spirit, because like the children of Israel, joy is the opposite of murmur. Murmur is succumbing to your circumstances, but joy is walking by faith and not by sight.
Right, exactly. Walking by faith is where God's joy is. That's where God's joy. There's two joys. There's a joy in this world, right? You have a person has a birthday. They could be 12, 13, whatever. And they can have a physical joy in this world. And they're like, hey, mom and dad got me an awesome gift for my birthday. Yeah, I'm not talking about that joy. I'm not talking about that joy. That joy is the one that will leave as soon as you get a bad circumstance. I'm not talking about that joy. I'm talking about the joy that surpasses understanding, that people don't understand. How is it you're okay? And they see these horrible circumstances in your life. They're looking right at it and they're like, how are you okay? Just like when David lost his son, the servants were telling him, like, how can you do this? And he goes, what do you mean? He's like, I'll see my son again. He said, I cried, I wept, I fasted, I prayed, I did all these things, and he died. He said, but I'll see my son. They couldn't understand, how was David able to get up once he heard his son died? As soon as he heard, bro, he got up, took a shower, put on some clean clothes, and ate. Most people don't do that. Most people don't. They get in this depression and they allow the circumstances to ruin their life because they don't have physical joy. And that's the problem. Physical joy is not enough to lead someone into a thriving life. Physical joy is not enough. You have to have God's joy. And it's only found in the finger of God. The finger of God is where this joy is found. It's not talking about joy of your flesh. We're not talking about that. Talking about joy of the Spirit.
That's where I love how James says, count it. He says, count it all. See, there's the choice right there. You have to count it all joy.
Right.
There's only one cost with one currency that is imperishable, and it's the currency and cost of Christ. It's his riches, it's his blood, it's his merchandise. It's not the perishable merchandise of the flesh. It's not the cost that weighs you down, because a lot of people say, well, I'm going to count the cost, brother, count the cost, and they're always looking at how much it's going to cost them instead of looking unto Christ and how much it cost him and the cost that he paid. And that's why scriptures tell us, do not grow weary and look to Christ. Consider him, not yourself, him.
Right.
Exactly.
So just to kind of recap, right, on everything we went over so far. So said, right, let my people go. And while he's saying this, he brought a message. And it was in the form of a finger. He brought a message in a form of a finger, God's finger, the rod. He brought a message, right? So we know, or let me back up and just say this. So Jesus said, you don't use one finger to lift up a burden. That's what he tells the scribes and the Pharisees. You don't even lift a finger. So now we have to ask ourselves, what is Jesus talking about? Is all Jesus saying, is all he's saying is, you're not helping them. Listen to the mindset of some people here. So Jesus is just saying that the Pharisees don't help them. Let me ask you this. What's the only thing that can help a fallen man?
Christ. Faith.
Okay.
Jesus. Yep, the
Jesus.
Spirit. Yeah.
So if Jesus is the only thing that can help a fallen man, why in the world would he tell them that they're not using their own fingers to help? Unless you understand that Jesus is God and he's saying something that's been said in the Old Testament 1,000 times. See, the parabolic part of the Bible is crucial. It's vital to understand what Jesus is saying while he was here. It's vital. If not, what you're going to do is you're going to find yourself saying, well, who knows? Who knows? Who knows what happened? Who knows? No, you don't know is the problem. That's the problem. You don't know. And you're trying to convince everybody else, since you don't know, then nobody knows. When clearly the answer is you are not familiar with the Old Testament, not even a little bit. And so here we go. We're going to talk to the promise to come. We're talking about the promise to come, Christ. We know nothing about the Old Testament, some of these people, but yet if they don't understand what Jesus is doing or saying, well, then nobody knows. No. The Bible makes it very clear that he's a rewarder to those who diligently seek him. Since you're too lazy to diligently seek him, then nobody else knows. No, I'm sorry. What you're doing is you're allowing it to be seen that you yourself are not diligently seeking. You are not. So hold yourself accountable to your own tongue. Hold yourself accountable to your slothfulness, but don't go pointing your finger at everybody else saying that everybody is just as lazy as you. That is sad, and that is not how we're supposed to live. Look, if you are not diligently seeking him, it doesn't matter if you started reading the Bible yesterday, because I can promise you this, 2 hours did not make you diligently seeking God. And I don't care if you said you've been reading the Bible for 2 years. How many hours a day have you been reading that Bible? If you don't know something, speak for yourself and just say you don't know. But to go around saying that nobody else knows because you don't know, that is such a lie. That is not true, and that's not how we're supposed to live. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Period, the end. But we don't have to speak for everybody else, whether they know or they don't. The only truth that's going to come out is have you personally been diligently seeking him or not? And the proof will be in the pudding. You'll be able to tell. But if you just try to wash over everything by saying, well, who knows? Let's just move on. Let's read something else. Well, who knows? So nobody knows nothing. I don't know where the people get this way of thinking. So let's go over this. All right, yeah. So again, Jesus said, right, you don't use one finger to lift a burden. He's trying to tell them, my friend, like he's been saying the whole Old Testament, that there is a finger. There is a finger that takes away the burden. Jesus called the burden carrier. He's it. And the only way for him to carry the burden is for his finger to take the burden. Period. So the scribes and the Pharisees were not using the proper finger. They were using the law, the thing that was written by God's finger. The 10 Commandments were written by God's finger, because God's finger is the teacher. And Paul tells us that the law was a schoolmaster, but it was for the flesh. So God gave a physical law to a physical people to teach them how to physically behave. It was all physical. But it was a shadow of something to come. And that shadow, right? The shadow of something to come is what the Bible talks about, that basically God himself will be written on our hearts, right? I will take away your stony heart and I'll replace it with the heart of flesh. I will take away your stony heart. The only way these people were able to stone people is because of their law heart. That's all they could see was the legalism part. Thou shalt not unalive. Thou shalt not steal. That's all they could see. And so in order for them to make things right, they stoned people. But the only way that you could do that is if you had a stony heart to begin with.
You know what I really love is 1 Corinthians 2, because at the beginning, Paul is saying like, hey, I'm not I'm not speaking with fancy words. You know, I determined to know nothing but Christ and Christ crucified among you. But then he goes on and he says, but we do speak a wisdom among them that are perfect. And then he starts talking about this wisdom searches the mystery and the hidden wisdom, those mysteries of God, right? And so when people say, you only need to read Romans through Philemon, like,
Yeah.
like that's basically what Paul said about the people he's bringing the gospel to. But then he's going on and he's saying, but we do speak of wisdom concerning the hidden things. And people are going to have to erase verse 10 because it says the Spirit searches all things, the deep things of God. If people want to say, oh, nobody knows, I don't know, you don't know, nobody knows, it's like, no, the Spirit does know, and He searches all
Yeah,
things.
exactly. So yeah, so in order to tell someone, look how prideful you would have to be. Just watch. Not only you have to be prideful, but you'd have to be super arrogant to tell somebody else what they know or what they don't know. I'm not talking about something that is true though, right? So for instance, let's say that people come into agreement that the dove in the Bible in some way represents the Spirit. Notice how we can all agree with that, right? Most Christians can agree with that. Okay, but it was the Spirit that revealed that. Is the point I'm making? The Spirit revealed that to people. And so once everybody is in agreement on how the Spirit reveals, now the question is, does the Spirit today still reveal things? So if the Spirit does reveal things, does everybody have to pay attention, or can they just wake up and have it revealed? Or do you have to read and understand and pay attention? So obviously, the more seed that you sow, the more harvest you get. That's what Paul says. For God is not mocked, for what a man soweth, that he will reap. That's what Paul says. That means that in the good ground, when Jesus says some 30, some 60, some 100-fold, that means there are going to be people that understand more than you, period. So many verses I can go over. There are people that are going to sow more seed. Therefore, they're going to get more understanding. But when you talk to them, you'll be able to tell whether they understand or not. So yes, there are going to be people that understand things. But if you don't understand, you don't go tell other people, well, then you don't understand either. You don't do that. If you don't understand. Now, if there's something you do understand, then you should be asking the other person, how is it you don't understand this? Why? Why don't you understand this? So notice that it's different. If something is true, then everybody should be able to see it because it's true. But if you don't have understanding of something, you don't tell other people, oh, well, you don't either. That's what I'm talking about. It's two different mindsets. One mindset is, this is true. You're claiming to be a Christian. Why don't you understand this? The other side is, well, I don't know what that means, and nobody else does either. It's two completely different mindsets. So if you don't understand something, you don't go tell somebody else, well, then you don't understand it either. No. But if you're claiming that something is true and you say, hey, how come you don't see this? How come you don't understand? There's nothing wrong with that, because there is going to be a 30, 60, 100-fold. The Bible makes that very clear. There is going to be people.
The
So that's
problem
like, I
is,
forgot my He-Man at the house, so you can't have your He-Man.
That's right.
the problem is, the
That's right.
Bible,
Since
the
I
Bible,
go,
Bible speaks about a man only knowing the things of a man, but the things of God, the Spirit knows.
yeah. And that's what I'm trying to convey, that there are two mindsets here. One is there are people that are lazy and they know darn well 100% that they have not put a lot of time in the Bible. They know it. They'll never let anybody else know that because they think they can fool everybody. But you can't. because there are people that have put a lot of time in this, and you're not making sense on some of this stuff you're saying. It's not adding up. And I am talking about amount of time you put in the Bible. Then you have people that they put a lot of time in the Bible, and they have a conversation with someone, and they can tell that person ain't put no time at all. Bible, none, or maybe a little bit. That's all I'm saying. It's not hard. It's no different than anything else in the world. If you talk to someone about sports and they can't even name one, let's just say football, they can't even name one player, but they're telling you, oh, yeah, football, yeah, boy, football is such an awesome sport, yeah. And you're like, oh, man, well, what'd you think about that last game? They're like, well, I don't know. And then after about 5 minutes, they know nothing. Are you telling me that it's not hard for you to determine that they're lying to you? Are you serious? It's not hard. You're going to sit here and tell me you can't see that they're lying? See, the thing is, if you say you know football, it ain't going to take long for another person who's familiar with football. It ain't going to take long for them to say whether you do or do not know football, man. And I'm sitting here trying to tell you, the Bible is this. Exactly. That's why that's why Cowboys going to go to the Super Bowl. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. But the thing is, I'm sitting there trying to tell you, there are people who are very familiar with the Bible. And when you tell them you are too, they can see that you're not being truthful. But see, the Bible, you can get away with it, right? Because all you have to say is, I got the Holy Spirit. Oh, everybody got the Holy Spirit. Now everybody's saying different things. So now everybody's lying about what they're claiming. It don't matter. There are people who are familiar. And let me just say this to you, make it real quick. If they don't argue with you, they're letting you know they don't believe you know what you're talking about, because nothing you're saying is making any sense. So, and with the Bible, yeah, anybody can do that, right? Anybody can say they know this. Everybody can.
Yeah.
What?
What I was saying. Oh,
Bill, you got a red bar.
Little echo going.
yeah, I know. Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's the main reason why we started talking about finger of God, because I've been hearing for too long, nobody knows this and nobody knows that. I'm like, oh, nobody? Okay. All right. See, when you know and understand the way God speaks in the Old Testament, you either have to be a very arrogant, cocky, prideful man to claim that you know what God is saying, or you're just telling the truth. That's it. There's no other way to look at it. That person is either lying, making it up, he's arrogant, or he is telling the truth. That's why Jesus was one or the other. He was either God or he was crazy, because the stuff that he talked about, dude, if he was a regular man, he was a lunatic. There is no other option. He was a prophet. Oh, he's such a good man. No. He wasn't just a good. You're telling me Jesus was the only good man in the world? There was something completely different about this man, because every religion talks about him. Every religion mentions him. So to say he was just a good man, if that's the case, there'll be hundreds of good men talked about in every religion. And there's not. There's only one, and it's him. So he was either a lunatic, completely out of his mind, or he was God, one or the other. And it's the same thing about a person that says, oh, you don't know what that says? Let me tell you what it says. If a person is that bold to tell you, let me tell you what this means. He's either crazy, a lunatic, or he does know what it means. It's only one or the other. And now you have to ask yourself, is everything coincidences? Now it comes to that. Okay, is this all coincidence, or is this the truth here? And if you've been baptized and filled with the Holy Spirit, it shouldn't take you long to figure it out. Shouldn't at all. But obviously, it's 10 o'clock. And we're going to continue Finger of God tomorrow. It is We're
I
not
think
even at the
Fam
good
Love
part
had a
yet.
question.
Who did?
Fam Love.
Me, do you care if I put a question past you real quick, even if you don't answer it today? I feel like it's a good
Yeah,
question.
sure. Yeah, what's up?
You know how in the Bible it talks about the parable of the talents, and talents is referring to money, but you hear it said, you hear it talking about actual abilities, and the way I can't stop seeing it as money, but not in the sense of earthly money. I see it in like heavenly riches. And if you're going to invest your heavenly riches, then that to me translates as the word of God. And I just wonder, where's the scripture that backs up this um, this teaching that I always hear about it being abilities? Because I feel like
Yeah.
there's more scripture that supports it being actual heavenly riches.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what? I don't have a problem going over it real quick. So matter of fact, let's pull it up and let's just look at it real quick from scripture standpoint.
What's the address? It's in a couple of the Gospels, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't matter. We can just bring up either one of them right now.
Talking about the gifts and what we do with
The
those gifts.
talents.
The parable of the talents.
Oh, okay.
Starting in Matthew
Yeah.
18. No, this is about
It
Matthew
should be 20.
25.
Should be Matthew
25.
25. I just don't
Yeah,
know where.
yeah, that's it. Starting at verse 1, ain't it? No, that's 10 versions.
Nah, it's gonna be in the teens.
Yeah, it's
And when I
Verse
think of,
14.
14.
Here it is. It
so when
says,
I
for
think
the
about
king.
that, I think about investing. I'm thinking about the word of God, that being the thing
Well,
being
let's just
invested.
go. Well, let's just go over it, and we'll go one piece at a time. All right. So
Here we go.
who's gonna read it?
It says, for the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents. Hold on, y'all.
Oh, run, Benny, run!
Uh-oh.
The
That's
plant's on
these
fire
garage
again.
doors. It says, unto one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1. To every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he
All
took.
right. So let's hold on. So let's go back to the beginning. Read it from the beginning again.
For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his
Okay, hold
own
on.
servants.
The kingdom of what?
Heaven.
Okay, so what is this whole thing talking about?
Heaven.
Kingdom of
Kingdom
heaven.
of heaven. Right.
Can we agree, fam? Can we agree this is talking about the kingdom of heaven?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is not talking about this world.
Right.
Amen.
Right. Okay, we can't go any further unless we understand that. So we turn this parable, which by the way is God speaking. If we talk about this parable and all we can see is this world, we're already using our wrong eyes to understand what it's telling us already. He starts it off by saying the kingdom of heaven. He didn't start it off by saying this world. All right, so start from the beginning and read again, Benny.
All right. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And
Okay,
unto
go ahead.
one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. To every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey.
Okay, so far it is using the word ability. What kind of ability? Worldly ability, or maybe
No.
kingdom of heaven ability?
But it's also what it's also
Okay.
saying though is he's giving the talents according to the ability. It's not saying the talents are the ability.
Right. But the point I'm making is, are we talking about the world, or are we talking about kingdom of heaven though?
Kingdom of heaven, bro.
All right. Okay, good. Then you read.
Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the kingdom of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hadst, that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I
Hold
sowed
on.
not.
Let me point out something. Listen to the story. Everybody should be tracking about the story. Why would this person be called slothful? Let me say something. If you don't understand what God always calls slothful, then you don't understand what I'm telling this man right here. So, fam love, what does God always call slothful people?
I would say the ones that don't obey and they don't go out and share the gospel.
Wicked. He calls them wicked.
Yeah, but what is he calling slothful?
Lazy,
Yeah,
lazy.
listen. I'm talking to fam love. What is the thing that God slothful? Why is he calling them slothful? Why does God call people slothful? Why? Because if
Well, I
this
mean, I know
is not
slothful is
understood,
lazy, but I don't. I guess I don't know the answer you're looking for then.
okay. So in the Bible in its entirety, we have to go look at why God calls people slothful. Because if that's not understood, then you don't understand why he's calling this one person slothful right here. So all
There's
right,
a verse in
give me a
Proverbs
second.
says, a little folding of the arms, a little rest, you know what I mean? And poverty
Yeah, no,
fades
there's
like
a
a
there's a
6,
shadow.
bunch of
bro.
them.
That's Proverbs 6. It says, Look to the ant, you sluggard. It has no captain, yet it gathers when it's not harvest time.
Say it again. What does it say?
He says, Look to the ant, you sluggard. You put me on the spot. I just knew it. He says, Look to the
No,
ant, you
find
sluggard,
it.
who has no captain. It says, Who has no captain, and
Hold on,
yet
hold on, hold on, hold on. Watch this. He's calling someone slothful who has no captain. Who's the secret captain in the Bible?
Jesus.
Christ.
Okay, so let's go pull up the verse that you're talking about, and let's go look at that verse. Literally,
All
pull it
right.
up so we can read it word for
I think
word.
it's Proverbs 6. I just read not too long ago. Proverbios capítulo 6,
Oh
versículo.
my guys, we need an interpreter. Got a guy speaking in tongues over here. We need
I
an
got
interpreter.
you.
It says, Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise, which having
Okay,
no
hold on. Stop.
guide,
Stop. 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 Hold on. What's the ant? What's that?
The
What's
ant
an
is the
ant?
worker. The
Right. The
worker.
ant is the worker. Okay. So look, now we have to stop and go learn about the ant. Somebody pull up the verse that talks about the good ant, that it's better to be like an ant.
And
That's
having a
that,
captain alludes to the fact to obedience. Obeying a captain alludes to obedience, and that's what I ultimately said about um, being a sluggard
Well,
is lazy and not obedient, basically.
yeah, well, that's partially true, but we'll go over exactly what it is. All right, let's go find the ant.
that's
Somebody
the one
look
we're
up the
reading
ant
right now,
verse.
This
bro.
is the one.
We're
This is
reading it.
it.
Yeah, we're reading it right now.
Okay.
It says,
All right, so is the hold on, time out. Is the ant a male or a female?
Ants have no
It's a,
sex.
No.
well, in the
Verse he's
scriptures it
reading.
says a female.
It's female.
it's in a
Okay, why?
feminine
Why is the
form.
ant? Hold on a second. Time out. Why is the ant feminine?
Because he says her
It's a
ways.
ta-
Consider her
I would
ways.
say,
Wisdom.
It says
I think,
consider
Wisdom.
her
yeah, wisdom.
ways.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I
Right.
think it's
Okay.
alluded
So,
to
all right.
wisdom being
Okay.
female. Yep.
Consider her
Okay.
ways.
Okay.
Everybody at once.
All right. So is it a coincidence again that the ant here is a female? That's a coincidence, or do we need to understand why? So notice what we're doing. We're not being slothful and just reading a verse and saying, "Well, the talents are talking about this." No. Now you're being slothful. No, let's go study it out and let the captain lead the way. Okay? Let the
Amen.
captain lead the way. This has nothing to do about works. That has nothing to do about obedience. It has nothing to do with that. You either have the head that's in control of you or you're controlling yourself. And if you're controlling yourself, then we're just going to read the talents and just try and figure it out instead of studying the word. You want to know what these things are talking about? You have to diligently seek. So now look where we're at. We're over here talking about talents. All of a sudden, we're talking about female ants. See, a sluggard wouldn't care to go do any of this. A slothful person, they don't want to go study any further. They just think God's going to give them the answer. And when you do that, you are captainless. You are not being led by nothing but yourself. Okay, so read the whole verse that you're talking about or that you're in right now, Benny, the whole verse with the ant. Read the whole verse.
Okay, go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provides her meat in the summer, and gathers her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, and a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come as one that travails, and your want as an armed man.
Right. So it's making it real clear if you don't understand what it's saying. It's talking about if you don't use the Spirit to guide you in anything that you're studying, you're slothful. That's what this is talking about. It ain't talking. And then notice that. What does it say? Poverty. Read that last
Poverty.
sentence.
Yeah.
Read that last sentence that talks about
It
poverty.
says, verse 11, it says, so, I'll read it. So, verse 11 says, so shall the poverty come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an
Yeah.
armed man.
Yeah. Notice it talks about poverty. What do you think it's talking about here? It's talking
That's
about lacking
that's
understanding.
spiritual
It's
poverty.
not talk. Yeah. So it's not talking about you being broke. It's talking about you being spiritually broke because you're lazy. All right.
And it says one that traveleth. I always thought of that like someone who's not rooted, right? They're just constantly going from here to there, here to there, here to there, not rooting
Yeah,
themselves
no,
in
it's
anything.
the to and fro, right? Tossed to and
Yeah.
fro, double minded. All right, so go back. Let's go back to the man that is being called. Let's go back to the talent, and let's pick up where we left off.
Okay, the verse 26. His Lord answered and said unto him, You wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him
Okay,
that
watch
hath
this.
not,
Right. Go ahead.
but from but from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness, there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
All right. So the part that says, read the part that says that he that has, he'll get more, and he that doesn't, it'll be taken away. Just read that part one more time.
For unto everyone that has shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that has not shall be taken away even that which he has.
All right. So what is he talking about? He that has will get more, but he that doesn't have, it'll be taken away. What is it talking about?
I see that as knowledge and understanding, like I was saying, the heavenly riches. Because it's talking about it being
Right.
money,
So,
but it's not talking about earthly money. It's talking about heavenly riches, which that would
okay.
be knowledge
So
and understanding in the word.
The
it'll
the
be, well,
carnal
it's
mind, the
that's called,
fowls of the air steal the seed.
it's
Wisdom.
spiritual revelation. It's spiritual revelation. That's what it is, guys. It's spiritual revelation. That's what this is talking about. When God gives you spiritual revelation, you are supposed to receive more spiritual revelation. The reason people don't continue to receive spiritual revelation is because they're slothful. And instead of studying it out to get more, they stop. That's what this is talking about. So
Or they
we
or
can
they
sit here
bury it,
and confuse all these. What?
or they bury it for fear that
I can't hear you, Benny.
of persecution.
Benny,
You
start
know what I
over.
mean?
Benny,
Fear of
start over.
sharing.
I can't hear you, bro.
I said, or they bury it like he did. He buried it. You bury it. You suppress the truth. You suppress the revelation.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hey,
So this is what
one
this
more.
is.
Just let me drop this in here real quick so that people, the ant is really cool. By the way, in Proverbs 30:25, it talks about the ant again. It's not just Proverbs 6, and in Proverbs 30:25, it says the ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer, which is kind of what we're talking
Okay,
about
hold
now.
on.
It's the same
Hold on.
concept.
Hey, that's the one. That's the one that I was telling y'all to look up, and you kept saying that the one Benny was reading was it. No, the
No,
one you're
because you
bringing
said
up right now.
you said the good ant. So the good ant is in Proverbs 6. This is a description of the ant,
Okay, my bad. Go
but
ahead.
it's all good. No, I just read it. So you want me to read the whole
Hey,
chapter?
hey, Dre, that
No, you
might be
can
a.
read the ant part.
Okay, I'll just read 24 and then 25 and 26 so I can have context. It says that doesn't really make context, but there be four things which are little upon the earth, but they are exceedingly wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. The conies, I don't know what that is. What is a cone? I've never read that.
Coney's like a
It's
no. Coney's like a. It's either a fox or like a.
I think I
It's
read
a
it in a
it's a
different
rock.
version.
It's a rock rabbit.
Okay, so
It's
the
a rock.
conies,
Yeah.
It's
No,
like a
it's a
rock
rabbit.
badger.
Yeah, it's a rabbit. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
rabbit.
like
Yeah,
a rock badger.
it's a rabbit. Yeah.
so the four things that are wise, it says the ants that are people not strong, yet they prepare the meat for the summer. The conies are but a feeble folk, yet they they make their houses in the rocks. The locusts have no king, yet they go forth, all of them by bands. And the spider taketh hold of her hands in the king's palaces.
Yeah, in the king's palaces. Yeah. Yeah. So, um,
Amazing.
yeah. So when the parable of the talents, who's telling this parable?
Jesus.
Jesus is.
Right. The finger of God. Right. The finger of God is telling this parable.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the finger of God is telling this parable, and when it gets to the one, right, that we know is the bad one, he's using very distinctive words that if someone that is familiar with the Old Testament will know exactly what he's saying about this person, because he calls them slothful. And there's only
Yeah.
one that's called slothful in the Bible, and it's this kind of person that is
I
not
wanted to
doing what it should be natural for them to do. But what?
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up too because the guy says to him, I know you reap where you have not sown, and you harvest. Um, anyways, I remember in John 4:38, Jesus is saying, "I sent you to reap that whereon ye bestowed no labor. Other men labored, and ye are entered into their labors." And I remember reading it somewhere in the Old Testament, but I can't find it where God was basically saying something about not laboring or not sowing there, but he's reaping there. Is there like some type of connection with that?
Yeah, no.
But I,
There's a few of them. There's a lot of them in the Bible that talk about.
I just can't find them.
Yeah, well, I don't remember them off the top of my head, but if we have to find them, then we will. But there's a lot of instances where it talks about like knowledge being passed down, spiritual revelation being passed down to another generation. In the Old Testament, it's all in there. Like when you see Josh, they were the only two that believed that they can enter the promised land. They were the
is
only
that
two. So the Bible tells us that all the older generation passed away, but it was the younger generation that was able to take the land. And so it's real simple. It shouldn't be hard to see that the older generation didn't believe they could take the land. So why would they minister that to the younger? Which makes it very clear that Joshua and Caleb were the only two ministering to the young generation that we can do this. They were the only two. That's the only way that this younger generation would have believed to enter into the promised land, because revelation was passed from them to the younger generation. So the Bible doesn't have to tell us exactly how everything happened, but it does in very subtle ways throughout the whole Bible. It shows us that there are always someone that believes God. And anyone that believes God, my friend, sends a message. Every time they have a message, and Joshua and Caleb gave that message to the younger generation. And they had to wait for the older generation to pass. If not, they would have not believed again that they could take the land. So from generation to generation, revelation is passed on. But there's always going to be a slothful people. There's always going to be a slothful people.
So, can we agree that it's appropriate to conclude that ultimately the spiritual revelation is the treasure stored up in heaven where moth nor dust doth corrupt?
Yeah. So what other verse confirms this? Fam love, what other verse confirms what you're saying?
If I was at home, I would rattle them off because I've been taking notes, but I actually just jumped on my way to the gym. I'm sitting in the parking lot at the gym right now.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. So all right. So why does the Bible say, "Do not cast your pearls to swine"? Anybody?
Because
They
the
don't
pearls are
appreciate it. Yeah.
What's
They're
a pearl?
precious.
What's a pearl? What's a
A
pearl?
precious
revelation?
gem.
costly
Yeah.
merchandise, gem
What's a
from the
pearl?
spirit,
Revelation.
The word, the
revelation.
word, the word,
The word,
revelation.
spiritual revelation, the word of God, spiritual revelation is the pearl. It's a precious jewel or a gem. What is the one? What is Jesus when he starts talking about? He said, "The kingdom of heaven is likened to a man that findeth the field." And what's in the field?
Mm-hmm. A treasure.
What's in the field? Treasure. And what does he do?
Treasure,
What does he do
treasures
after he
inside
finds
the
it?
Sells
heart.
everything. He sells everything.
He goes and sells everything he has. Why? Because he wants these jewels. What are these jewels? You think this is talking about gold and silver in this world? No,
No.
that's why he says the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man. The kingdom of heaven. On and on we can go. On and on we can go. And it will prove what these talents are representing. The talents are representing spiritual revelation. That's what it's representing. That's what the jewels and the gems are. That's what the pearl is. A swine is a person that eats and believes everything that's not good for them. In the Old Testament, a swine was a pig, an animal that ate whatever. It was a sloppy thing. But this goes all
Doesn't
the way
chew the
back to
cud.
slothfulness. The cud is the word. So a swine in the Old Testament, they don't chew cud. Spiritually, a swine is a man or a woman that doesn't chew the cud, which is the word. So why would you cast your pearls to swine? In the Old Testament, why would you take a pearl or a ruby or a diamond and throw it to the pig as if it's going to eat it? It's not. So today, a swine is a person, not a pig. It's a person. I tell Islamic believers all the time, you eat more swine than I do.
You know, that's the
They don't
beautiful thing
understand.
about that's the beautiful thing about these scale, bro. It's showing people that you don't have to guess with anything in the Bible. The Bible answers itself. So any
It
question you
does.
have, you just have to keep digging a little deeper and keep digging a little deeper. That's the beauty of these scale. That's what you teach us every day. That the Bible answers all the
It
questions you have.
does.
So
Yeah.
It
let me.
answers. And when someone says to me or anybody else, oh, well, who knows? You're just speculating. Right there, slothfulness. I know exactly what your problem is. And when someone gets mad, I don't care because it's biblical truth what you're doing. Your problem is what the Bible is saying the problem is. But you, whoever these people are, they don't want to be called slothful. Nobody does. Nobody does. Be honest. Nobody wants to be called slothful. But when you say things like, well, let's just speculate, nobody knows.
So
No,
try.
the Bible tells us everything. For anyone to say that the Bible tell us everything, something's wrong with your theory then, because that's not true. The Bible does tell us everything. That the truth is this: do you have the time to search it out? And if you don't have the time, then it's not your fault. God's not mad at you. Okay? He's not mad at you. Maybe you got kids, a family. Maybe you do have a lot going on. But there are people that do have time. And you are supposed to glean behind the reapers. The Bible makes this very clear in so many ways. If you don't glean behind the reapers, then you're still being slothful and hard-headed and stubborn like Paul, Saul of Tarsus. You're not being, instead of being descaled, you want to keep your scales of pride. If you don't have time in your day, 5-10 hours a day, study these things out, you need to find someone who does have the time, because you're doing nothing but being prideful is all you're doing. Just
Try.
because you talk about the Bible for 10 hours a day does not mean you're diligently seeking truth from the Bible. What's up, Dre?
So, like, I agree that the Bible answers itself, but my question would be like, the pushback is always 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 2, where it talks about holding to traditions. Is he referring to like because he was talking maybe to Jews and it was like the traditions, like the holy days? Like, is that what he's talking about?
Let's
Or
go.
because
Let's go to it. Let's go to it. Pull it up.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 2.
Yeah, we'll read verse 1, 2, and 3. Read all
All
three
right.
of them.
Yeah. Okay. It says, "Be ye followers of me, even as I am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you." He says, but I would have you know that the head of everything, every man is Christ, and the head of every woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God.
All right, so what's your question?
So the question that is always brought up is like, it says, remember, it says, now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you. So that word ordinances, I guess it translates to traditions. So people start saying like, oh, you see, like there's like, apostolic succession and there's traditions that weren't written down in the Bible that you have to adhere
All right. So
to and blah,
okay,
blah,
right.
blah.
I see what you're saying. All right, let's start here. Church. Okay, this is a letter that Paul was writing to the Church of Corinth, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, it
so
is. He's replying to them.
Right. So, all right. And we know that a lot of times Paul is writing to them, bro, because they were pretty much messed up. And he talks to them about a lot of things, but in a lot of ways, this church was messed up, dude. Right? Now, here's a question. Is this a Gentile church? Like, were these people Gentiles? They used to be Gentiles? They did, right? All right, so let me get to this one part real quick.
Also pagan worship as well.
Hold on, let me just get there real quick.
Yeah, while you're getting there, I just want to make one thing clear. Trot did not say that the ant is the Holy Spirit. So calm down.
That's the next
We're
one.
not going to make another one.
That's the next one. That's the next one.
No, they're gonna say.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, "I told you." He said the Holy Spirit was a female ant.
A female
ant. A female
ant.
mule. You see, Trot's teaching that animals is the wisdom of God.
Yeah.
See, he keeps going back to animals. I bet he thinks every animal on the ark was God.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll be worshiping cows like in India.
He probably thinks the golden calf was the Holy Spirit because gold represents deity.
Hey, yeah, that's why Aaron did it. See, Aaron was supposed to be the high priest, so he made the golden calf because it was the Spirit of God. Hey, and notice that calf was made by man's hands. Notice that, man's hands.
Right.
All right. Let's see.
Did you see my comment to you?
No. What?
No, I said, Dre, hey, young hungry man of God, raise your hand first, because that old guy that caught him that one day was like, I'm just so glad and so happy there's other young men like you that are so hungry for God's word.
Yeah, boy.
Young blood. He called him young blood. Young blood.
Yeah, young buck, young blood. Oh, man, that's awesome. Oh, man.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So this, okay. So Paul is talking to the church of Corinth, right? Because like when you read it further down, right, he's talking about the covering of women's heads, right?
Right.
That's the whole point right here. And then like if you look at, let me see, where is it at? Is it 10 or 9? Hold on. Let me look.
So should women wear covers?
Well, one thing at a time. So, now, okay, let me ask you, did Jewish women used to wear covers over their head?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did, right? Okay, so
Still do.
it's kind of like, it's really, okay, it's kind of like this, man. Paul understood also the physical aspect of being a Jew. He understood because he was a Jew. Like that was what they did, is they wore coverings over their head. That's what they did. So for Paul not to discuss these things, that'd be a complete lie. Paul obviously would discuss them, but I think the point Paul is trying to make here is that you need to understand the order. You need to understand this. It's Christ, the husband, and then the wife. That's the main point talking about, is the order. That's what he's really talking about. The order. That is first Christ, then the man, then the wife. And so when he says here in 2, he says, I praise you then, brethren. I'm sorry, not 2. No, I can read that. He says, now I praise you then, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them unto you. But I would have you that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. Meaning you're not supposed to cover the head, whoever's ahead of you. You don't have to look at this as physical head. He literally is saying that God is the head, and then Christ, then man. He's talking about the rank, like who's in charge. He wouldn't be talking about that if he was only talking about your physical head. So he's not just talking about physical head. He's talking about a spiritual head. And he says, every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. Says, but every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered, dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one, as if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. Meaning, if you're not covered, you might as well shave your head. But if it be a shame for a woman to be, cut, to have her head shaven, let her be covered. For man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of men. Okay, so we are the image and glory of God, not before Christ, after. No man was the image of God before Christ. Through faith, you could say you were, but if you're not saved, you are not the image of God. I'm sorry, you're not. When Jesus came to this earth, when he came here, the Bible makes it very clear that he was the image of the invisible God, him. So for people to say that we were already the image before Christ, then we need to go back and look at some things, because we were spiritually dead, period. And so even though with your physical eyes, you could say, well, no, look at us. We have a hand, a back, fingers, feet, and so does God. Yes, but it's not the same. And when Adam was made, Adam was created direct God's heart, no sin. He had no sin. Jesus's body, I'm talking about Jesus, the body that walked this earth, the last Adam. He was made just like the first Adam. I'm not talking about Jesus' soul. That thing has always existed. I'm talking about the body that walked this earth. That thing was formed in Mary's womb, but it came from the Spirit, God's heart. Therefore, it had always been here. So Jesus's body, the way it grew up and was born in this world, that part may not have always been here, but the matter that created it, which is God's heart, has always been here. Always. It has always been here. But now it's a human. Yeah.
I got a question. What's this covering? What is it exactly that the man is not supposed to have and the wife is supposed to have? Because it's got to be a spiritual meaning, right? What does that mean? I don't know what it
but
means.
at the same it is, but at the same time, the Jewish women used to cover their heads. They did used to cover their heads. And I think people get caught up in the fact that they miss the fact that Paul himself understood this. He understood this 100%, that women covered their head. It was a tradition that they used to do in the Jewish community. That's what they used to do. And there's people that still do it today.
Here's the thing, though, Trot. This is the part that I always get hung up on, right? And I have yet to really get the answer, which I don't know that I'm going to get the answer today either, but I'll just keep searching it. He's talking to a Gentile church. What traditions
Right.
could this Gentile church possibly have, and why would he make them go under the traditions of Jews when he clearly was opposed to putting Gentiles under the law or the traditions of Jews? And if he did do that, then why don't we adhere to that today? Like, what happened? Like, why
No,
don't
exactly.
we?
But that's the point I'm making today. Who is saying? But that's the point I'm making. Who is saying that he was telling them to physically cover their head? That's what I'm saying. I don't believe. I don't do
I
what?
got the answer. I got the answer all of a sudden because Christ is the bridegroom and we're the bride, and the blood is
Right.
the covering.
Right. So But that's the thing, though. I understand what people say about this verse, but what I'm trying to say is the whole purpose of Paul bringing this up is because he's focused on the order: God, Jesus, man, woman. That is the focus here. So I understand completely when people think that Paul is telling them to cover their heads, but I don't believe at all that's what Paul is trying to tell them. I don't believe Paul is telling them to physically cover their heads. I'm sorry, at all. There's not enough evidence in the Bible to prove that Paul is telling them to cover their heads physically. I don't believe that one bit. There's not enough. There's not enough in here for that. I strongly believe that what Paul is talking about is to make sure that you understand that it's God, Jesus, man, woman. That's the point that he's discussing. As a matter of fact, right now we're just in 11. If you all the way to 1 Corinthians 1, you understand this is a letter. If you go to 1 Corinthians 1, you go to 2, you go to 3, you'll see the buildup of what Paul is doing. I mean, I don't have time to go over all that. We're supposed to get off at 10, 11 already. But if you were to read the whole thing very slowly, you'll understand what Paul's saying here. And I was going to look at it. It might be an 8, because look at, let's see. Notice at 7, let me see, 7, concerning the things whereof wrote me unto the good as man, to touch a woman, nevertheless, avoid fornication. Okay, so in 7, Paul here is talking about marriage and fornication, okay? And notice what he starts talking about in 11, the order. But right here, talking about marriage and fornication. If you forget why Paul is writing letters to Corinthians, you're missing what he's saying in 11. Because this is a letter.
Yep.
This is a letter. He's do what?
I'm sorry, Troy. Go ahead.
What were you saying?
No, that's what I was just gonna say. We gotta understand that he's replying to what's going on there. He received the letter, and they believe there was another letter in between. That's why he replied in 2 Corinthians back to them. They were continuing pagan rituals. When you go and study this, they were still doing pagan rituals, fornication. They had a lot of stuff going on that they were mixing with.
So Paul is just okay. So look, what I was going to say was, then you get into 8, and he starts off with 8. He says, now as touching things offered unto idols. So he starts talking about idols, right? Because that is something that they were still doing. Then you get to 9, and he says, am I not an apostle? Am I not free? Have I not seen Jesus Christ our Lord? Are not ye my work in the Lord? So now he's confirming. He's starting off with 9, talking about, do y'all not believe who I am? So we get further down. Let's see. 9, it says, for it is written in the law of Moses, thou shalt not muzzle the mouth of an ox that treadeth out the corn. Doth God take care for oxen? Well, that's not the one I was looking for. Maybe it's after that. Sorry. Let's see. Partakers of power. Hold on. Willingly I have reward. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. No. So this is Paul talking about his reward, but not like he's begging them for money. Or maybe it's in 10. Let's see. Let me start at 10. He says, moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea and were all baptized into Moses in the cloud in the sea and did all eat the same spiritual meat. And then he starts so now here he's talking about the idolatry that was taking place that was in the wilderness. And then you go down to 12, I think it says, wherefore let him that thinketh he standeth take heed. No, I'm sorry. Therefore hath no temptation taken, but so as much. Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry. Okay, so here, 14, he's telling them to flee. Notice, if we go back to 8, he's talking about idols. He's talking about who he is and what they should understand in 9. Then he's talking about idolatry in the wilderness. So he's talking about idolatry the whole time and a lot of these verses. Then he gets to 11 and people want to miss everything that he just talked about, and then they get fixated on this covering. He's bringing back the order, which is God, Christ, man, women. So then when you get to 12 and he says Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles. I hate when people say that they're still Gentiles. You were. You're not a Gentile anymore. You were a Gentile who've been saved. And then stop saying that I'm an old sinner saved by grace. No. You were an old sinner. You were a Gentile. You're not a sinner. You're not a Gentile. Anyway, it says, ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols. Why is he still talking about idols here? Look, 11, Paul is pointing out the order of fashion, which is the tradition. The tradition is 100% God, Jesus, man, women. And so when people take this and say, oh, well, he's teaching them to wear it, and I'm sorry, well, we're just going to sit here and disagree all day. Paul's just pointing out there is an order. God, Jesus, man, women. That's it. He's not telling them to wear coverings. That's not what Paul's telling them to do. But all right. What time is it? 11 o'clock. All right, guys. If anybody's got anything,
Thanks,
say it
fam
now
love,
or forever.
for making us go another hour.
Do what now?
I said thanks, fam
Do
love,
it.
for having us go another hour.
Thank
We got
you.
you to go another hour.
God bless you.
She
Thank you
don't
so
care.
much.
She don't care. She's in the gym, she said. She's in the gym working out.
Yeah, Try. I got a question about the talent
Uh-oh.
section.
Uh-oh.
You got a
It
question
should
about
be real
what?
quick. The talent. So when the guy that buried it, so his spiritual revelation, he buried it, and Jesus told him, "Away from me, you evildoer, for I never knew you." Is that kind of considering that guy blasphemed against the Holy Spirit because he went against
Okay, hold
the
on.
Holy
It
Spirit?
sounds like you're talking about three. Hold on. It sounds like you're talking about three different verses now.
At the end of that verse, does he not say that to that guy that buried the
I
talent?
don't know. Let's go to it. Who had the
I
verse pulled up a while ago? Who had the verse pulled up? Hello. Who had the verse pulled up? Somebody had it. Let's go back to it.
Wasn't it Matthew
It
25:14?
wasn't me. It was not
Yeah, it
me.
was Matthew 25. It starts in the teens. I just don't remember where.
Yeah, I can
Jude
read
said
it.
14. All right,
I could be
so
mixing
go.
it up, man.
No, it's
Where do you
okay.
want
It's
me
all
to
right. Let's
start?
just
14?
no. Go to the part where the guy's calling the one man a slothful man.
Okay. The Lord received 2 talents, said to him. All right. So verse 26. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him that hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I sent that parable.
Okay,
You
so
want me to keep going?
well, no. So the one Mike's talking about, go to the one that Mike's referring to, where he says, that I never knew you. Let's go find that one real quick.
Oh,
Let's look at
okay.
that.
About the false prophets.
No, Bill, it's not
People that
talking about
call
the
him
false
Lord,
prophets.
Lord.
I never knew you. That's like you're talking about the talents though, right? Not Matthew chapter 7.
Well, there's only
Bill's
really
referring to
one
Matthew
really
chapter
where he
7.
says,
Oh, I thought
Where's
that was
okay,
the one we were
let's.
talking about. Sorry.
Well, don't worry. We're going to
Matthew
go over
7
it.
is the one that says, "Depart from me, I never knew you. You practice lawlessness, I never knew you." Is that what you're talking about? Try
All
or
right.
something else?
Well, that's the phrase he used. So obviously that has to
Yeah,
be what he's talking
I'm
about.
pretty sure it was
Yeah.
Matthew. Man, I might be mixing
It's
up two
Matthew
different
7.
things.
It's Matthew 7. It's
That's all
Matthew
right. We're going to
7.
go
Because
over it anyway.
he
Somebody
does
pull it
say
up.
you. I think he does say you wicked and slothful
Yeah,
servant. I think
Let's
he
just
does
go
say
to
it
it. Let's
there.
go. Let's go to Matthew
All right.
7. Let's go to
Not
Matthew 7
every
and go over it instead of sitting there saying
not
what it does
everyone
say.
that
Let's just read
saith
it.
unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the
bro, I know
kingdom
the
of
Bible by
heaven,
heart.
but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say, this is verse 22, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
Okay. So he said he's going to say he never knew him, right?
Yep.
Okay. Does that mean he used to know him and he doesn't know him
Nope.
anymore? No, it means never. He never knew him.
And to
Never.
Yeah,
know
right there he's
means,
talking about, or they're talking about the work of their own hands too. So that's not a
well,
coincidence.
and it's talking about like to know. When you look that up in the word in the Greek, it's like intimacy. Like to
Yeah.
Yeah,
know
he
somebody, like to
never.
know them, like you knew them, like you may know some people on TikTok, but you don't know them.
Yeah,
Like you've heard of
Yeah,
them,
because
but you don't know
otherwise the
them.
Pharisees would know him, but they don't know him.
exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. So with that being said, when people say, well, I mean, you can give me your perspective or your opinion, but, nobody knows. No. The problem is maybe you don't know God. Maybe that's the problem. Because someone who knows God knows that he gives gifts to those who asks. Someone that knows God knows that when you go to the secret place, he reveals secrets. That is a fact. And for anyone to say that that is not true, don't think for a second that he's not going to tell you, I never knew you, because you clearly don't understand what knowing God means. Clearly you don't. And you think that this is a game and everybody's just kind of throwing out ideas and it's okay. Like you can just, guys, let's just have Bible study, and ain't nobody putting nothing together. You're just sitting there talking and drinking coffee. Right. Ain't nobody learning nothing. The secret captain's not in charge. You can go ahead and sit here and you can, while we're all here and you think you can fool people, you go right on ahead, but there is a knowing of God. There is. And it ain't because you picked up your Bible and started reading it. And you can go ahead and sit there and make every, well, if I don't know, then you don't know. That's fine. You go right ahead. But there is a knowing. And I'm talking about the two kind of people. I'm talking about the kind that says, well, if I don't know what it is, then you don't know. I don't say that. I say I know what it is. And how come you don't know what it is? There's two kinds of people, and you need to figure out which one you are. Are you the one that really don't understand a whole lot? And then so you don't look lazy, you just say that nobody else understands either. Or are you the one that you do have intimacy with God and you do know what certain things mean, and yet now you're asking people, how do you not know what this means? How?
This is
How do
where
you not know? So
this
they
is where
get mad
people.
at you. Hold on a second. But they get mad at
Yep.
you and say, well, how do you know that you're right? Okay, I'm talking about that. That's completely different. When people are questioning what you're claiming you know, than the others that say, well, who knows? Who really knows? No. No. Okay, well, if you don't know, then do you really know God? You don't know. And if you do know God, are you really putting the time and effort in the Bible to find out what it's saying? Because if not, why don't you just be honest and say, okay, well, I only get to read the Bible an hour a day or 30 minutes a day. And I'm telling you right now, that's not going to get you very far, man. I'm sorry. But a man will only reap what he sows. You need to understand what that means. You're only get out of the Bible what you put in. So I'm not claiming on God for 10 hours a day, like without the Bible in front of my face. Like if I was just floating on the ground and God was using telekinesis and telling me what the Bible was saying. No, I read it and I studied it. I show what I do. I do it all the time. I mean, Fam Love came up here and asked about the talents, and I start talking about ants. I'm talking about ants because I understand what's meshed, what have been put together for everything to make sense spiritually, to understand what slothful is in the whole entire Bible, not just one verse. When you hear slothful and you're like, yeah, see, this person was lazy, and no other verse pops in your head, then you're not familiar with the Bible then. And don't get mad at someone because they're telling you you're not familiar. Just be honest and say, well, you're right. I didn't think of any other verse. Just be honest. Stop with this getting mad at people because they actually study. You stop doing this. That's why you don't see me
You got to tell them,
argue with
try.
nobody. I ain't
Yeah.
meant.
You just got to tell
Huh?
them, like, hey, bro, you got to tell them, like, bro, you don't know God. God don't know you, and I don't know you
Well, I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. I don't know any other way to say it. Because if you were
Well,
one with God and you had intimacy with him, you would know this stuff. Why do you think Paul
But
said why do you think Paul said
that's
what he
like,
said when what?
sorry, that's like the scripture that says they're ever learning, but never coming to an understanding. Because a lot of people just look at it just for face value, just knowledge, but not
Yes.
seeking an
Yeah.
actual deep understanding of it.
Yeah, and it says it in the Old Testament too. It talks about these people that have eyes but they see not. They have ears but they hear not. That's why Jesus said multiple times, for those that have ears to hear, let them hear. Why do you think he said this over and over and over? He wasn't talking about the paddles on the side of your head. He was talking about spiritual hearing. You either can hear and understand what I'm saying or not. And then he would tell the disciples, how do you not know what I'm saying when they didn't understand? Notice his attitude. How do you not know what I'm telling you? So it's not, nothing's changed. The same attitude is still here. People are claiming they know God. And then when you start having a conversation with them, you're like, wait a minute, bro, how do you not know what this says? And they get mad. Well, you don't know. You're not God. Like, what? How did that conversation take that route? I'm not God? No, duh. What are you talking about? All I'm asking you is, how do you not know this? You're claiming to be a teacher. You're claiming that you understand the Bible, and you don't know this? Like the most simplest thing, you don't know that.
and
So it's always going to be people.
this is where they'll use the, well, the love of God surpasses knowledge. And it's like, we're supposed to grow in his knowledge. It doesn't surpass his knowledge. And so instead of just saying, I don't know that, or, oh, that's interesting, let me hear from you, or let me dig into that, it's, well, the love of God surpasses knowledge. And it's like, no, that's not correct. That's not correct. And the same principle works in the physical realm, because you said, that if you don't got like 5 or 10 hours, go find someone who does and glean from them. And it's just like Olympians, when someone breaks a world record, then it sets the new standard for everyone, and then all of a sudden everyone's breaking that record.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, but it is what it is, man. So tomorrow we're going to continue with God's finger. Today I was mainly focused on certain terms. I was focused on some other things that we saw that the finger of God did, like he wrote the 10 commandments. And, I didn't harp on it enough, but how many times did God write the commandments? Anybody?
Two times. Two times.
2 times, right? He
Two
wrote it twice.
times.
Right. So God's finger wrote on the stone twice. Not one time, 2 times. Okay? And that plays a significant role in this whole thing here. Significance. So anyways, all right. If y'all got something to say on the panel, say it now. Forever hold your peace. It is 11:10. Oh, 11:11.
The ants are not the Holy Spirit. So we're clear.
Any,
I just
yeah,
want to
just
say
so we're
thank you
clear.
for taking the time. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely, absolutely. No, it's not. Just so you know, it doesn't hurt or like ruin my day if I stay here, another hour. It's no big deal at
Oh, you
all.
heard it there
There are,
first. All right, take advantage,
but
people. Ask away.
yeah, well, I mean, it depends what's going on that day, you know.
Yeah.
It just depends on what, like, let me just make myself clear on what I'm saying. If I have to stay 30 minutes to an hour, it doesn't ruin my day. Okay. It's just that if I get off at 10, I can start taking care of certain things sooner. That's it. So because I want to get off at 10, I'm not sitting here mad because I'm not. So let me make that real clear. I'm not sitting here mad because I'm not getting off at 10 o'clock. Like if I'm sitting here, upset. No, absolutely not. But I tried my best to be to stay on schedule, and that's why I have things that I have to do. But some days I can choose to stay on. Other days, like Fam Love could have came up here and I'd have been like, well, it's 10 o'clock. And I'll tell you what, bring that question tomorrow. There are times that I'm going to do that too, so don't be surprised. But if you think that I'm up here mad because we stayed on an hour, I'm not mad. No big deal. It's just there's times that I feel like I can do it and there's times that I can't. That's why the military was made for yeah. All right, guys, we're going to bounce. We will continue with the finger of God tomorrow. And God bless. We'll see you in the morning.